Hello, everyone, and welcome to State of the Realm. We're back after a little break. Sly had a fun little convention last week. I'm sure he can tell you about briefly. But this week, we're going to be talking about the, I'd say, hottest topic in 14. Hey, we need something to talk about during the downtime, and that is cheating in Fall Guys. Won't be the only type of cheating we talk about, but really? Really? Come on. We'll also talk about the netcode because that's a part of the discussion as well, because non-raiders are finally figuring out how Final Fantasy XIV works. Anyway, I'm one of your hosts, Mr. Happy. Of course, joining me is Sly, who's back from his trip to Onicon. How you doing, Sly?
Why do we have to have this show?
What does that mean? Have you not seen? It's crazy, man.
I mean, I've seen it. It's just like I never thought we would have this show in my wildest dreams.
Well, I also never thought we'd have a Fall Guys show. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm in the same boat. Never did I think I'd have to do a Fall Guys show on 14.
But here we are.
Here we are.
But I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Fun con. Really fun con. I literally got no sleep at the con, but it was great. Got to see some people. Play bartender pretty much every night. It was great.
Party time. Party time with Sly.
Yes.
All right. Mm-hmm. And we've got a couple of guests on here as well. Very impromptu guest to bring on. He tweeted about wanting to do a show, and I was like, I was thinking of doing the same thing. I'll invite him so he can't do it because I'm doing it, so he won't do it this week. He'll have to wait till... You still could have done it. It's not like it hasn't happened a million times. It's fine. I know. Yeah. We've got Frosty. We've got Mog Talk on. We've got the World Race Guy on. How's it going,
World
Frosty?
Race Guy, yeah. The PvP commentator, that guy, the podcast guy, the weird guy. Yeah, and that's me. I was thinking about doing a show on it, and I was like, man, this is something that's everybody's talking about right now. I have a lot of opinions where I disagree with a lot of people. I feel like I want to talk about it myself. So let me get something together. And then you're like, I'll do all the hard work. I'm like, all right. Let's go. And I went with that instead because that's easier for me. For now. I'm sure there'll be more time to discuss this topic in the future. Maybe not about Fall Guys, but, it's the thing. Yeah. The Paladin from Heaven's Sword. Yeah, that's me.
And returning, you've been on a show before, Kai. Do you remember which one it was?
It was the VTuber one.
It was I see. That's what I thought, but I was like, I could have brought Kai on for any number of topics at any point in the history of the show. I was like, I don't know if it was that broad, but it was. Hi.
It was. Hi. Hello, everyone. I'm Kai. Kai. I do fashion reports, stuff like that. If you don't know me, I also am a pretty big Gold Saucer enthusiast, so I kind of got involved with Fall Guys stuff quite a bit, working on Queen Bean title and stuff. So yeah.
Did you finish your 100 wins? I didn't see.
Yeah, I just finished it last night. I saved it for last night just to finish it right before the show. I was like, oh god, like I have to make it a deadline to get it done before Happy's show.
That's the deadline.
I heard that before. A Happy show.
Yeah. I'm so used to being on your show a lot of times too, Frosty. Like, yeah, like I've been on at least like 4 or 5 times now, huh?
Let me look at YouTube and see when the last time you were on my show was.
Wow, he's looking for receipts?
It was either the VTuber one or Ishgard Restoration. That was the last one. I don't remember which one it was.
I didn't even do that content.
That doesn't mean you didn't do a show on it.
I mean, Kaiyoko search. Video 0.
That's toxic.
I'm sure it's somewhere.
I'm more offended.
Go check him out if you want.
I'm more offended that he said Happy Show because Sly's right there.
Okay, I'm sorry. I should have said Happy and Sly show. Look, Happy's the one who contacted me, so that's initially what I went with. Okay.
It's
last time Sly contacted me.
I'm nobody. It's okay. It's all right.
No, you're somebody. Look, Sly let me on a glamour contest on his stream that one time. It was for your anniversary. What was it?
Think so.
I remember what it was. It was something. It was good because your communities were really creative with what they were showing. So
yeah,
it's fun.
Doing a fashion show for somebody, I wouldn't even know what that would look like.
Well, people dress up and then you judge how.
Well, I
they
mean,
look.
by Kai doing it, I'm sorry, Kai running something like that.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Well, before we get,
maybe
yeah. What were you gonna say? No, what were you gonna say?
I was just saying maybe we could work something out in the future, Frosty, but we got to talk about it more, maybe a little bit more in advance. I don't know.
Sort out. Look, Square Enix gives us like 4 days for content. You got to be able to flex, man.
That's true. That is true.
4 days. Well, not if you're doing top after charity. Then you have 4 months to do it, Frosty.
What? 4 months?
More like 9 months at this point.
To top into the January with the race. Well, it's November.
10 months then.
We're in the last phase now, right, Frosty?
He sure is. Frosty, my heart broke when I saw you on Meteors, and then I literally you were on this monitor, and I was like, nice, he's on Meteors. Let me do something real quick. Did something in 10 seconds, looked back, and there were 3 people dead, and I was like,
it just is what it is.
what happened?
Oh man, it's like climbing up a ladder and getting close to the top and just someone kicking it out from under you every once in a while, and you're just like, all right, it's all right. Sometimes you kick yourself out.
The top of the ladder?
Yeah, trying to get to the top for top. Yeah, that was the whole point.
Yeah.
You didn't have to explain it. You have to go further into it.
I just didn't know if you knew that you had punned. I wasn't aware that you had known.
Yeah.
Okay.
The innuendos I don't catch as much, but like the puns, I'm usually pretty good with those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, before we get started with the actual topic of cheating and Fall Guys, and I suppose elsewhere as well, thank you to our sponsors over on Patreon for supporting. They don't have to; they choose to. So we always appreciate them. We don't do anything fancy; just say thank you, and that's all there is to it. And then also thanks to SteelSeries for sponsoring, because that's SteelSeries. It's good. It's great. It's grand. It's wonderful. Very simple shout. They don't even know I shout them out on this. They have no idea. They don't even check. I just do it because why not?
You're just a good partner.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's all there is to it.
I endorse your Steel series because I use your code just for my headset, so I appreciate it. Happy.
Actually, I need new ear cuffs. I've been destroying these ones a bit much because I wear them like this most of the time. So then I do this. A lot of friction.
Yeah, you got rough ears. I don't know. You say that it wears it down.
When was the last time you touched my ears?
Either that
Frosty?
or oily. I don't know. We don't need to go into that show just yet.
All right. Anyway, like Sly said, this wasn't a show I thought we would ever have to do. But at the same time, did we all kind of see this coming before we even like get into the reality of it happening? Did we all not see this coming?
No.
Really, Sly?
No.
I didn't think it's like obvious right off the bat, I guess, like that it just like came out immediately. It was just like all over the place really quickly. I think that's more the surprising part. It's not that it's like surprising that it happened. It's more of like that it was being posted everywhere and it got out.
Yeah. It was very obvious for me, to be honest with you, that was going to happen. It is not surprising at all that people want it to go forward, and there's more social media posts about it, I'm fairly confident, than there are people doing it. But it's about as widespread as I expected it to be, especially within the discussion within social media as well, because you look at it, you get angry, you put it on Twitter, it's going to get a lot of retweets. I mean, that's it.
I mean, it puts in the back of your mind a lot of times, like when you're doing it, like, is this happening? Is this person doing something? Like, you never know, right? Like that's what all the social media posts do. And then it amplifies it even more, especially if people are like struggling with like the netcode issues and they're getting frustrated. They'll like want to have something to blame it on.
That is the perception. I can tell you how many times back in the day I played Counter-Strike, and when I lost, they were cheating.
True.
So
that's it.
I mean, yeah, that's it. Why'd I lose? The other guys have to be cheating. There's literally no other reason I could have lost
You sure about that, XQC? You sure about that?
Yeah, dude. XQC. Yeah, I'd love to be XQC.
Would you really?
I don't know. I mean, it is kind of a hard trade-off. The money versus the life and situation. It's kind of rough. But there's a lot of money involved with it. No, I think so. This is the perception I've always had when it comes to this kind of stuff is that the frustration with seeing it happening and it existing is enough to spark outrage more than the actual frequency that it's happening. But I'm very familiar with the Final Fantasy XIV community when it gets really competitive about things, because I've done stuff with the World Race, I've done stuff with PvP and everything else, and people can do some funny stuff with programs with this game. They can do some funny stuff with it. And Square Enix policy about not putting anti-cheat stuff on people's computers is also another thing that kind of, makes it accessible so people can go and do this kind of stuff. Then the GM moderation is not usually good enough to catch it before it spirals out of control. So usually what happens more often than not is that a couple people get really mad that it exists, shows it exists, and then it spirals upwards in social media. But I can tell you, a lot of people, especially on the PvP side, that's had to kind of deal with this stuff for a while, at least from my perspective. There are really good players that play the game that do not use cheats, but people will accuse them of cheating because they're losing to them. When you go into Fall Guys and you see people run into AoEs and you're like, that guy's cheating, all right? It's so visually unappealing, I guess, to go through and do that because it looks like someone else is cheating. But I could tell you, people are really good at knowing when a telegraph is going to go out, and they can make stuff look like it's janky and weird, but they're just really good at timing stuff. And that is more of what's happening than I think someone using something to throw markers up on the board and dodge it, because if they're looking at the little telegraphs that's being provided for them, they're probably going to run slower than the person who's just very confident in where he can run to. But that's just, again, my opinion on it, is that it's more of like a handful of people have done it, messed around. A couple people might actually use it, but it's not everywhere. And since only one person can win in Fall Guys, it's really easy to wonder why you keep losing, because you're going to lose a lot because only one person can win in the first place, right?
I'd laugh if somehow that wasn't the case. We look for the legendary double crown.
Jeez, the legendary double crown. What?
I'm just saying, I wouldn't be surprised to see. Hey, why'd my camera break? I wouldn't be surprised to see it break. Yeah, my camera just froze. I must be really into whatever I'm looking at over there.
Well, the thing is, like,
I know why that is. I can fix that permanently, but it's gonna mess with all the cameras. Now Sly's me,
and Sly is a very still person on camera, and Kai's avatar sometimes doesn't move. I thought all of you froze and it was me for a second.
I know why that happens. That's yeah. I had a different setup for my camera because of Super Mario RPG. Let's see. Now it should work. There we go. Oh god, now it's all busted. Look at that.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, I have to do completely different setups for different, like when I stream on console. So it just breaks everything if I don't have like very specific setups. There we go. Hold on. Why is it flipped? Why is it backwards? Anyway, so there. Right? All right. I think we're good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's good.
Let's see if it breaks again when I press X. All right. We're good. Anyway.
Yeah.
We dived into a whole lot of that for didn't we see this coming? So I'm going to take a step back here.
Sure.
And talk about. Let's actually start with cheating in 14 altogether, because it does this. Let's be clear. This far precedes the Fall Guys event, as I am terribly aware, much to my own displeasure. But It goes all the way back to A Realm Reborn, where people wanted something very simple. You know what they wanted? DPS meters. That's it. All they wanted was some DPS meters, know how much damage they were doing. So they downloaded this fun little program, Advanced Combat Tracker, which I believe is still used to this day. I haven't had it in a long, long time. Is it?
Have I? I'm going to be honest with you. I assume it's ACT. Yeah.
Okay. And that's it. That's all they wanted. And Square said, you know what? That's fine. We won't do. Just don't talk about it. You know, just like we know it's important, but we can't endorse it. You know, just don't talk about it, and you'll be fine, right?
And what do people do?
People
talk about it.
People talk about it. That's fine. All these people know. Everyone knows about it. It exists. It's fine. And then people are like, well, what if I do this and not talk about it? Then what if I do this and not talk about it? Looking at Kai, just go, oh, and then what about this? And it's just kind of cascaded to, well, if they're not going to do anything about that, then they keep pushing the envelope, and then we get to where we are now.
Can I take it by one step back further?
Oh yeah, going to 1
about Windower and Final Fantasy.
You know what? I was gonna bring it up at some point, but I was like, yeah.
Because one simple thing of wanting to tab out and look at web pages while you're playing a video game turned into a whole colossal lot of scripting and all that stuff involving Final Fantasy XI. So I feel like this is a habit of Square Enix, maybe, in a way.
Yeah, pretty much. So to back it up a little further, for those who don't know, Final Fantasy XI on PC is incapable of being tabbed out if it's in full screen. If you tab out in full screen, it crashes the game, errors out. It has been like that for 21 years, and it's probably not changing. They have an innate windowed mode now, but back in the day, people made a windower to play it in windowed mode. It then became the centerpiece of a lot of stuff and is still prevalent to this day.
Yep.
Well, I mean, like, when we look at this stuff as a community as well, right? We have to really, while Square Enix doesn't play in the gray area, they say this is legitimately, this stuff is not allowed. Sorry, just not allowed. The windower, not allowed. I'm assuming, things like that. They just say that, but we as a community need to, stay in harmony in some way with who is cheating and who is not cheating, and kind of decide what is okay and what isn't okay between different people within the community, or else we would just kind of be this land, oh, you use third-party tools, I can't be your friend anymore. All right. And so I feel like we're definitely within this weird area of the community having to play like this police force in some way of what is actually okay and what's not. What's, kind of iffy, but I don't care if other people do it, but I'm not going to do it, kind of steals as well. And then what's like, oh my God, this guy's breaking the game. This is legitimately hacking and cheating, basically. And it kind of sucks. In my position, it sucks a lot. I'm going to let you know, having to parse through what's okay and not okay when dealing with the world race has been the biggest headache. And I really wish it wasn't. I really wish it wasn't, but there's not much we can really do. So when we talk about cheating in Final Fantasy XIV, it's so easy for people who don't do a lot of PvE content to be like, oh, well, you're using more than not safe for work mods? Cheater.
Those instantly cleared, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's everyone in the community accepts that's okay to have, mods. I'm not okay with it. I think it's kind of weird someone would make a mod and make my character look weird on their screen, but I don't really know how all that stuff works, so don't dive into it. But no one really discusses that. What they discuss is the other programs that are involved with PvE mostly. And so in my thought process with this has always been, or has kind of evolved to, I guess, more of, say, over a decade. Does it break the game Does it change what's actively happening when someone is doing content and makes the content more trivial? Or does it just give them information to analyze later on? And getting information to analyze doesn't seem like a bad thing. But someone who is actually going out there and putting telegraphs of where they should, these are intentional things. It's supposed to be hard to tell where you need to stand into a safe spot. But when people are programming in extra telegraphs, that's cheating. I mean, it is what it is to me. That's breaking the content, and that's cheating. When people are doing things that are intentionally supposed to be hard to parse out and organize within the fight actively while it's happening, this is where you get into a little more with the AA, whatever, the melon stuff. I personally think kind of lame, but it has also helped other people who can't really get static groups. So I don't know what to really say. We've had this conversation a million times on my show. I personally don't. I'm not for it, but I can't say you're a horrible person for using it. If you're using telegraphs to tell you where to be safe, I think you're just. I don't know if horrible person is the right word, but someone I'd be like, yeah, you're cheating.
You want to know something hilarious? There's a place where Allegan melons are sold at a ripe in a ripe form, in the form of Titan and Uwu. I remember what the other solution was for that when Uwu first came out, and it's very weird comparatively because it wasn't. Every time I've done it since my clear week, it's been everyone put a number over your head, go from 1 to down, and just do it real quick. And the way on content, so I mentioned that program earlier that everyone became abundantly aware of in the form of Advanced Combat Tracker. People used it for one other thing. If a text line showed up in your text box at all, it would say something, right? So interesting thing about Titan on Uwu, 2 of the jails come from Titan. One of them comes from Garuda for some reason. So what the solution was to find out if you're the Garuda one and you were always in the back and the other 2 Titan ones went forward. That was the weird thing that I remember. Somebody would be like, I'm like Garuda, and then someone else would be like Titan front or something like that.
But is that intentional? Like Square Enix is like, this is information you should know or have.
It says it in the chat box, but it's still it's just one of those weird.
Well, it says
tidbits.
it in the chat box, but how would you know you were the Garuda one without it? I mean, maybe I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Because it'll target you, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that, and I never knew how you specifically knew that it targeted you. So that didn't ever seem clear to me. Outside the fact that Garuda uses it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It targets you because the thing tells you that it's the Garuda one, essentially. Is how it always worked. So that's how I understood it, because I was one of 8 people. There were 7 other people who were perfectly. I was like, I'm not doing that. Y'all say back and front. I'll fill in the other one. I'm not downloading this to do this dumb shit. We could just line up and figure it out. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a hell of a thing how people have found to get through these mechanics that are just knowing, looking and being aware. And they're like, no, I'm not going to do that. No.
Not being aware. Yeah.
I'm not doing that. No.
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot more to say on it, but I feel like I've given a lot of my opinions. So, I mean, it's a really dear topic to me because it's something that affects a lot of PvE players. I mean, figuring out your DPS has been such a huge boon and help to Final Fantasy XIV. Overall, they're bringing in more money because people have the ability to do stuff with this information. It's not like it's hurting the game. It's helping the game currently. But it's also helping the game that they don't talk to other players in the game about it, I think, in a regard as well. So while they might not say that or admit to that at all, there's a lot of people who play this game because there's a funny number place to help compare their numbers, analyze it, get better, improve, whatever. It's been known.
Or to just shut up people.
Yeah.
I mean, usually the people who are shitting on people are actually really bad.
That's not always true, because if somebody who's doing really poorly is talking, you ever have that person who they're like, they made the PF, right? And they say they're on a mechanic, right? They're like, okay, we're on this mechanic. And they keep dying 2 mechanics before that. And then after 3 pulls, they type in party chat, what's going on, guys? And you're like, I swear to God, I want to rip this person asunder.
Just today, I was in a party and someone pulled the boss early, got hit by damage. And the healers, I was one of the healers, didn't heal him up. And he died. And he's like, what? Can you guys not press buttons? And I was like, I don't know what to tell you, man, but I guess I could have healed you, but at the same time, you could have not hit it. Could you at least start it with that? Like, sorry, I pulled the boss early. Right?
No, that one's on you, Frost. I blame you too.
It's on me because I didn't use the OGCD to heal him up. I was like, you're riding lightning, buddy. You better hope that the usual stuff the healers do keeps you alive.
Oh, man.
But yeah, no, I don't know. There's a lot of attitude comes into this. I mean, I was just talking about this yesterday, but a lot of attitude comes into this whole topic as well when it comes to cheating and trying to get it. Like, why do you need? All right, so let's talk about Fall Guys for a second, just as an example. Why do you need the cheat in Fall Guys? Like, what do you get out of it? In the end, you get a title. How really important is that title, man?
Isn't that why everyone would cheat in an ultimate though? Is they want the title and the glory to say they've done it and have the achievement though? That's like,
well, they don't cheat; they just pay
that's
people.
the motivation. Well, that too, but you know,
I mean that would be one way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but you only could wear one title, man. Is
True.
Queen Bean or King Bean gonna be the title? That's the one that you're like, this is it forever. I feel like there's better titles out there. I understand it could be just nice to have the selection and throw it in your inventory. The collectors, right? The ones that want to have literally everything and just have the option to be able to do it. But people want that so badly that they're willing to go forward and take this extra step to maybe possibly cheat because they want it quickly. They want it the easiest way they can get it. They think they feel justified because the game mode is not good enough, doesn't deserve the grace of their effort, right? I've heard that conversation a lot.
Grace of their
I don't
Yeah.
think it actually.
That's such a
helps you, though.
dramatic way to put it.
It feels like that, man. It feels like people feel so privileged that they say the content shit, so I get to abuse it, cheat it, do whatever. It doesn't matter. That's my reasoning for doing it. And I feel like that's pretty sad. That's a little sad, man. And so, and a lot of people, same thing. I mean, it comes to P12S. People are getting that, like, and they're like, I can't do that fight at all. I can't do Savage, but man, I want that little mount. They'll find the easy way to get it.
Well, to be fair, you don't put cute mounts in hard content.
That is another conversation. We are not going to have that conversation today.
That's a copy pasta. That's a copy pasta, Sly.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
I've given you reasons why people feel entitled to be able to cheat and get things illegitimately and everything else. And it feels silly to me, but you know, I have a weird perspective. I don't care about mounts or glamour or titles or anything. I care about the content and getting there. The achievement in general.
The motivation. There's something like,
I mean, yeah,
digital or physical, whatever you're saying. It's there. It's in your eyes. You be like, I did it. I can show it off to some other friends that I did it.
Didn't you look like a dork? What? You're like, look at my title or my special. What? Who does that? It's like you're going through this whole like path and this exercise to do it. To me, those are all just goalpost items. They're not like like you're running a race and you want to win, and you in the end you get the medal and you're like, I've won. That feels kind of special. But the end, that's just a goalpost item that you probably will leave in a closet somewhere and not really think too much about. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if that's the best comparison, but in the end, the getting the item just is like saying, hey, I've done it. Getting the achievement, you're like, hey, I've unlocked this achievement. I have a receipt saying I have done this content. And that's about it. When you cheat to get that kind of stuff, like Queen Being title, does that receipt still feel pretty good?
They don't care about the receipt. They crinkle the receipt and toss it in the trash. All they care about is that they got it. It's like when I go to the grocery store, I don't keep the receipt to like prove that I bought it, I immediately crumple it and toss it away.
My favorite thing, and I should have took advantage of this and like joined these parties a lot more often, not cared about gear as much. Right when like P12S, like that tier came out, there are parties offering 25 million per person to give them every auto loot. 25 million gil, and I'm like, I'm poor. That gil has value to me because I don't craft it. I don't do anything else.
Hey, Frosty. Hey, Frosty.
Yeah.
Look over a few cameras to see one person who maybe did that recently.
Oh, really? Who did that? You paid people to get all the... Oh, well, you were using that gear, right?
I wasn't
for
using
something.
It wasn't
No. It was for a mount.
It was for Golbez and Zeramis to hightail it through those last 2 mount.
Hey, man, if you need somebody to help you out, let me know in the future. I'll get paid.
No. He just wanted the mount. He did not feel like rolling against people, so he paid them.
I love Merc runs. I take advantage of people's
I openly encourage.
Yeah,
I openly encourage, and I was like, man, I should join some of these. After I paid, I was like, I should make my money back. I should go join.
Yeah, they're great, man. I love Merc runs. I love that they're allowed in the game, right? It's not like something that and they will, if you put up an offer like that, the GMs will penalize people for not paying it out.
Yes, they will,
which is great. Which is great. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I have a weird perspective because I just don't have as much interest for a lot of these digital items and claims. It's more of just doing the content and achieving it. So if I do it illegitimately, I lose so much value because I want to do it the way that it was designed to do it. And so it's hard for me to feel, I don't know, that same urge to go out there and cheat for stuff. I've been doing top for 10 months, man. I'm sure I could have gotten this a lot easier in other ways, but it wouldn't have felt good. It would have sucked.
I have a question. Is it going to feel good when you do beat it? Is it going to feel good, or is it just going to feel like I'm free?
You know, that is a whole conversation that is way more complicated than I feel like.
Bro, I do it for 2 weeks and I'm like, I'm free. I do it in 2 weeks, so I don't take 10 months to get it done.
It has evolved so much past just getting the clear at this point. I could go on and I got to make like a whole dedicated topic just to this in particular because it has been an enlightening experience. So it's not really free. There is a level of despair associated with it because the fact that do you know how well connected you become with people after 10 months of trying to do something and everybody's on the same page and wants the same thing? Then you're like, we don't have that thing anymore. It's a little bit weird, right? And so that's a whole complicated, memes aside, it's a very complicated topic a complicated thing to answer.
If you want to continue that, you just, be like, hey, do you want to make a static for the next one? If you like that camaraderie. Oh, that's not the deal.
So it's going to come to altering the deal later on. And then it's like, do I have actually legitimate time? Do I need more nights off? It's a huge topic. It's complicated, but yeah, I'm gonna feel good. I am gonna feel really good at the end of it. I am gonna feel really good. But that being said, if I did something like I used some sort of tool to telegraph all the different safe spots to go to, which I know people do, it's really big in top right now. It just wouldn't feel good. It would feel shitty. Because I'm not doing it to tell people I've done it. I'm doing it to do it. So I don't know. Again, I'm talking too much during this show, so I'm gonna.
It's great because you don't talk on your own show at all.
Yeah.
We finally get Frosty's opinions.
Frosty's cold takes.
Yeah. Just in regards to the Fall Guys, like the motivation, like just for me personally though, like I definitely feel the same way as you though, Frosty. Like I wouldn't feel anything like good out of like even, I know it's not anywhere near the same way as top, but like for a title thing, I wouldn't feel good about it. But my whole entire motivation actually to do it doesn't have anything to do with like getting the achievement. It was actually just doing it community involvement, since we haven't had like really like a big thing where a lot of people are involved with, and it felt the closest thing to like real this expansion, like a lot of people actively doing something all at once together in a big large group. So like just constantly be able to do that and have like a goal in mind to keep like to push forward through, to like keep going through and doing that content with other people and giving myself a motivation. That's more where I see it with that kind of thing. And that goes with the same with like most other piece of content in the game for me. So like I wouldn't feel good doing it with other people in a large group and then I'm like cheating, or like, I mean, obviously I'm stream, but like, you know, that's way different. But I would never feel good about doing that because I feel like it deteriorates the whole entire like social aspect of it in a lot of ways.
I'm going to be honest. I feel like 100% certain that this is a really great piece of streaming content. It's really good with connecting with people in the chat. It's really good with just doing it all, having this one goal. I mean, Eureka Orthos kind of had that same deal with trying to solo it when I was doing it, right? Because there's people in my chat that was trying to do it as well. This one, you're actually interacting with people. And it's something that you can easily react over. You're like, what the? Yeah, I shouldn't have been hit. What the hell? It's so easy to have fun with this content. This was a good piece of content, I think, for Square Enix. And it sucks that a lot of people are being uninspired because of a handful of social media posts out there to make you feel like, oh well, everyone's cheating, I'm never going to win, this is an unachievable thing. But the amount of times that I've gone in there and literally been hit with stuff on the last level and still win, it's hard for me to say. Yeah. I mean, I've only gotten 10 wins out of it. You got 100, Kai. How many of those do you feel like, man, there's definitely someone cheating in these games?
I never really felt there was cheating. I joke about it, but like there's definitely times where there's like some really weird snapshotting right at the end when you're at the gate. But I think that's just the netcode, like or like the like difference between like, you know, like I'm someone else close to the server than I am, and so they're actually ahead of me, and I can't really tell that. So I could totally see it as someone else is not as informed, like how they would imagine that's cheating, how all of a sudden this person zips up in front of them and goes and gets the win. And I've seen plenty of screenshots of that happen. I've had it happen to me myself. Like I'm in the moment, it's like I'm cheated, but I feel like I'm cheated by the game, not cheated by like the other person, because they're probably not really there. But I can like I said, I could totally see if someone like didn't understand that, how they could see it as cheating.
I thought Violent Destruction was about to get violent on his chair when I saw his. I was like, this man's chair is not.
I mean, that happened to me too.
Yeah.
That happened to me so much. I mean, like I saw it, it's like, oh yeah, I've had that happen. But everyone was responding like, what the hell? How did that happen? I'm like, that's like all the time.
we in my stream, we literally watched that Violent Destruction clip, and I had the exact identical thing happen live on stream the next second. And I was like, oh my God, how does this happen? Like back to back watching that video.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the way the servers and pings and the information is transferred. Like that's how it works, client to server and all that other stuff. So I mean, that's just part of the game. But
yeah,
I what frustrates me more is, you know, because I just don't see the cheating stuff. I try to give people the benefit of doubt that not people aren't out there always just cheating and everything else, because it doesn't look super obvious, right? If it's obvious, then sure. But what's more obvious is people who are so like uninspired to do the content that they just get the participation rewards by queuing in and just AFKing constantly over and over and over again. That is more frustrating to me.
Sly, what do we call that? When they just queue in and sit at the entrance just to get participation rewards?
Oh, you're just there for the free chicken.
There you go.
Yeah. And that probably pisses more people off for me to say I'm frustrated with that, because there's a lot of people, probably even in this chat, who have done that, because it's just like, well, fuck, like trying, right? I'm just going to go out there and just queue a whole bunch of times. And all you're doing is wasting the time of people who are trying, because they have to sit and wait for the thing to time out. But, you know, they aren't thinking about that. They're thinking about, oh, well, this is a dumb game. Everybody's cheating, and let me get the rewards and leave. And that's it.
Okay, I just saw the Violent Destruction clip y'all were talking about because I hadn't seen it before, and that's booty. That's booty.
Literally looks like legitimate, like a legitimate.
That's
situation.
booty.
Yeah.
It legitimately looks like someone's cheating, but I don't think I don't think it is.
No, it's not cheating at all. No,
it's not.
That's
But
just-
someone could perceive it that way if they didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah. And so that I've had that happen to me, and I've reacted. Maybe not the same violent, but I have reacted like, "Oh my god, what the hell's going on?" But it's part of the game. I know if I'm like neck and neck with someone, I'm probably behind.
you are. You're always.
Yeah.
As far as we know, they haven't talked about it in a long time, but I had to have this discussion a few times this week. In 2.0 when the game released, there was a 300 ms built-in latency, which meant it would take 300, then add your latency, and that was your real latency. So imagine being a West Coaster when the servers on the East Coast in 2.0. It was like 500 ms.
So it actually feels like to me when I've been like thinking about this in my head and doing Fall Guys, it feels like it's Titan landslides back from then. Like I legitimately think that maybe the Fall Guys instances might be on that old latency. Like I'm not kidding. Like I feel like I've seen that in other places in the game, and it feels that way. So I don't know if it's true, or if it's or I'm just like it's in my head, but like it's feels that way sometimes.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I feel it in part in doing regular raids, doing top, doing everything. I feel the same thing.
You ever go? Okay, you want to know a real weird latency discrepancy? Go to the housing area and hit a dummy and do your rotation. Then go into a raid and do your rotation. And it's like, well, I can't double weave now. Nothing's fucking changed except I'm in the housing area versus the raid. And now my double weaving is fucked, even though I have like no ping. So it's like, yeah, no, you can definitely feel it, but it's that I don't know exactly what the culprit is of. But they adjusted the latency to be from 300 to 100, which they said was industry standard at the time. And that's where the I'm running alongside of them comes from. They're automatically 100 ms behind you. So a tenth of a second behind you. And then plus personal latency, plus, all that stuff. So that's where that comes from.
It's been a while since they like talked about that like I thought that was only applied to like duty instances. Like, and so the open world never has that. So that's why the like housing instance, for example, has like the longer delay. So like anytime you're in the open world, I imagine that has that like longer delay that it used to have. Or at least that's what I thought was going on. So that's maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, the only other in-instance change we know that's specific to Savage and Ultimate is after Titan Maximum. They had the slow versus fast instance problem. Yeah, they had to equalize that. That's the only other like instance related change we know they've made.
Didn't that cause problems for the like world first? Like there was like people who didn't clear it, like even though they were getting close a few times.
It was like a 6-second difference of enrage. Yeah.
It was a topic, but I don't think that it was in the end. No one's like, oh yeah.
Sindolf is like, I'm still mad.
Sorry, Sindolf.
Yeah. Hey man, that's the race, dude.
Actually, I think it was 10 seconds. I think the difference was like 12 minutes and 11 seconds versus 12 minutes 21 seconds or something like that. Like it got real. There was a video of like a JP posted video on Twitter where it was 2 runs, slow and fast, side by side, just looking at Titan's cast bar. 13-12. All right, there it is. Something like that. Okay. Yeah, I knew it was like a pretty massive difference between the two.
Yeah. I mean, we get into that too, right? Where things are just a little bit off with the game, and so people, again, they like send off, feel robbed, and feel like they should have won, and it leads you into a dark place. Send off didn't go into a dark place that I know of.
I'm not
unless
convinced
if you look
that.
at his Twitter account.
I was gonna say I'm not convinced. I don't think that's a truthful statement, and I know a lot of the Realm Reborn Raiders, and I've seen most of their socials, and I am very unconvinced of what you just said.
Do you think degeneracy is where people go when they're depressed?
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? That's the first place it goes.
Okay, got it. Just making
prime example, Fold.
Oh God. I think he was born in degeneracy.
I think he was just bored. I think he was just bored.
Look, when your abilities didn't reset and you're in between pulls, in Heaven's Ward and ARR, you just gotta go on social media and do something while you're waiting for our hollow ground to reset.
There's still a GIF from back in Heaven's Ward I can never find, and I think whoever the tank was for the world first team, they literally like gap close in as a Dark Knight with plunge, and they have full HP, and it's the small hand in A3S. It does that, and they literally die in a single hit. I haven't been able to find that in ages. There's the tether one that I also haven't been able to find, where they're like desperately trying to grab the tether, which is another latency / netcode thing. That's actually probably the prime example of netcode, is looking back at Gordius. I think after Titan Way to the Land, I think that was the next big time people really started to look at netcode as a problem, and it's still the same to this day, is tether passing.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't just tether passing; it was the debuffs too.
Yeah. So actually, there's a clip on Whoops's channel of somebody running directly through another person and not passing a debuff because of the latency. But then somebody doing the same thing like 2 seconds later, and then just the collision course problem. So yeah, that's
I can't
the
tell
big
you how
problem.
many tethers I can run straight through as well in top. So.
Yeah, top. You are very in tune with netcode issues in top, because
I have sprinted through so many tethers, and I'm just like circling around. I'm like, man, what's going on? And I'm just dodging that thing. But you just learn to get used to it. I mean, it is a problem. I think it is worth talking about, right? I do think this is something that should be improved upon. I don't know if it can be. We don't have that visibility of how well they can actually fix this stuff without completely breaking the game. But the idea that someone new comes and plays the game and sees this stuff when they're not used to it is a detracting factor for them continuing to play the game. Especially if they're like bigger streamers or whatever else, that could pull more people in. They're running into, hey, I don't like this game because of this, and you can't tell them they're wrong. We've just kind of gotten used to it, and so it doesn't feel bad for us. But there's a lot of people who are not used to it and will not stay to get used to it.
I think your opinions probably could dramatically change about how much time you've played WoW because of how snappy WoW is, and if you're coming from another game and how it like impacts when you come into 14. If you really care about like the latency issues, I think if you like started playing 14, you may not care about it quite as much because you're so used to 14. But definitely coming from like WoW specifically, I feel like it's insanely snappy with anything you do there. I don't know how that works on the back end, or if it's on like their local side that they're calculating all that, but it just seems so like clean and snappy sometimes that like 14's latency, unless you're like really trained on it, it can feel bad to some people. I think.
Well, it feels bad to a lot of people, but we just get used to it.
Right. What's interesting? True. If you actually watch 2 WoW streams of 2 people playing in the same raid next to each other, you actually catch a lot of the same stuff you would see in 14, but it is not nearly as odd. Like, you ever seen in WoW where somebody moves and like the server's trying to like think where they're going to go, so they kind of move forward and then teleport back, and they're like effects like zip with them and stuff. Like, you catch a lot of those little things in WoW too, especially if you're looking at 2 people's perspective. But the big thing is that everything else is so snappy that when that happens, you don't have to think about it. You're not worried about it causing a wipe or anything. You're like, okay, that's just it's just something visual that we're seeing as the servers get in sync. Not in 14, you're like, I hope I don't collide with them. I hope I don't collide with them. I hope I don't collide with them. Please pick up the tether. Yeah. Please pick up the tether. Please pick up the tether.
Yeah. And so I there is legitimate reason for us to want there to be change. But I guess we're also used to Square Enix not responding to, when we're kind of upset about some of these things and we're putting that out there. We don't usually get a response on a lot of it. That's direct in saying that, because I mean, maybe that's a good business decision not to bring up the bad stuff or try to make your game look bad until you have a solution, and if they don't have a solution, why would they talk about it? Maybe that's what's going on. I don't really know. I don't like Square Enix.
I don't know either, but like I can make some assumptions that like probably in Japan they're not seeing some of these issues, so they don't have the same feedback that they're getting from like NA or other regions. So it's a lot harder for them to like really be like decisive with like making something like this get changed, because like I mean I I have to think that's something linked to it. Like you get a bunch of feedback from like another area in the world, and then all of a sudden, like, well, your area in the world's not having this issue on that particular data center. But I mean, maybe that's what the East Coast servers are an answer to. Or wait, sorry, the cloud servers that are going to be on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Good luck with that next week, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, are we doing Ultimate? What's going on?
Well, like, so like there was the idea brought up that it would be really cool to have just see who can clear top first on the cloud servers. But there's no way to really. It's Thanksgiving week. How do you organize this stuff on Thanksgiving week? The NA's just done. All right. Depending on who you are and how much you care about your family, I guess. But it would be nice if they would have done it another week. I would have done some level of race of covering it if it was on a different week. But
I love that how much you love your family.
Dude,
you're right, but like it's funny when you hear it out loud.
It's really easy to not like family these days, guys.
I feel that. I get that. That's fine.
Yeah.
All right. So chat brings up something that I have had a discussion about before with the netcode, in that the reason why World of Warcraft has the zip forward and back is because they do predictive movement. I have been informed that 14 also does predictive movement, but it doesn't register quite the same unless you have very low ping. And I have a clip I'm going to show on stream of what predictive movement can look like, because this is how I learned about it. Was I posted a clip of me not getting hit by something. And normally you go, oh, he just got out of it at the last second. I didn't get out of this AoE. I'm in it. Like there's no way it's like a hitbox thing. So this, if you would kindly look over to the stream, this is P8S. You got the serpents going around doing the explosions during the in-between mechanic, and I deserve to die right here. And I don't. I'm in that. There's no universe that I'm not in that. It's impossible that I'm not in that. I have been informed that the game does predictive movement, and you just really won't notice it 99% of the time.
Well, I mean, that's the graphical AoE as well, and not the actual. Is the range a little bit less than what it actually shows?
There's a pretty clear line right there, and I can tell you.
True.
I can tell you what, snapshot-wise, no matter what, the snapshot, I should be in it. Even if the AoE, it's again a visual versus snapshot thing.
Mm-hmm.
The range is the same. Yeah, that's literally like there's no shot. Like, I guess there's a chance right here I'm a pixel out of it. I don't.
You are a pixel. The size of you is a pixel. Yeah.
Are we, really?
But I mean, you'd still have to assume the snapshot has gotten me there.
That was an Alalafell joke. If you thought that was what it was, Sly, we were all a pixel. No matter what you're playing, you're a pixel.
No. I've just heard that argument way before, like a long time ago, in like Coil. For what was it? For what mechanic? I forget, but sometimes, like they said, sometimes the Lalafells would need a step stool for I don't think it was like twisters or anything. I forget what it was, but yeah, it was some weird bullshit like that. I thought you were going there.
Don't say twisters around Raiders, Sly. Don't ever say twisters. Speaking of ACT things, randomly typing in Twintania Reddy's Twister in FC chat to see everyone's like, fuck.
I remember that. Or it was just being shouted.
Yeah, you just go to like Limbs and shout Twintania Reddy's Twisters, and somebody's gonna get upset about it. That's a good one. That's a good. Oh, and also all the nail quotes. That's another one. Yeah, there's some pretty good ones that you can just. It's all Coil too. It's all Coil. That has all the memes. Oh, those are good ones.
In relation to that video though, Happy, like I wonder if it's like, because there's some inconsistency sometimes when it comes to like animation and like the cast bar and like all this different kind of stuff when like it actually like calculates the damage, right? It's so variable between so many different like mechanics or like just abilities in the game that it's never like truly been consistent. I think they've been a lot more consistent lately, but there's always been this weird like, is do we watch the cast bar? Do we watch the animation? Do we watch this little thing here or there? Like, when do you actually like see the damage calculation happen and get hit? So like, that I don't know if that could be what's happening there. Or it's hard for me.
I mean, it looks very obvious that you were in it for any of those
Right.
possibilities. It looks like you should have been in it.
I've got worse ones than that too. That's not even the worst one. There's one where I'm in the Thornton dash, which are usually pretty unforgiving, you know, when the knights dash through and knock you back. I'm like halfway in it and I get to the safe spot in time and I'm like, that's impossible.
But here's the thing too, right? It's inconsistent.
Yeah.
And playing on the edge like that is inconsistent. So you just do the correct movement, you're okay. Every once in a while you might get lucky, but you can't be mad if you die.
No. You know, you're only ever shocked you lived. You're never like, I didn't. Well, that's the thing. When you're a casual player doing Fall Guys and you run into the netcode thing where you don't really understand, because I think that's the big thing. That's the other thing with Fall Guys is people, again, you mentioned the snapshots with people thinking someone's cheating because they're running through something, but then they're like, I wasn't in that and I got hit. Yeah, that's a big part of it. Casual players have never realistically been exposed to that, whereas raiders are like, that totally makes sense. That's exactly what was supposed to happen and it happened and I know that. And then casual people are like, what the fuck, it went like 6 seconds ago, the thing swung like I'm a mile past it.
Yeah.
JP dodge all the things.
Well, it's like you can't really dodge the graphic. It's just what it is. You have to dodge the mechanic. And that seems like it should be the exact same thing, but it's not. And so, I mean, last night I died on P6S because of X squares, and the animation doesn't look like I got hit. But if you look at it, you're like, you walk late.
Yeah, X squares are brutal with animation lining up to effect. Yeah, that's a really bad. I mean, all X's kind of are. Like, if you really try to dodge an X tight, and you have no choice but to dodge X squares tight.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, just when it puts us in a weird state too, when they make content harder and harder and you have to be a lot sharper with your movement and everything, a lot of these things start to come out and be a little bit more apparent, which doesn't look good. It doesn't for when people are looking in at the world race and they see stuff that looks a little goofy. They're like, most of the times they're blinded by all the pretty effects. So usually they overlook it a little bit, but the snappier they make it, the more people are like, the faster your reaction has to be, the goofier it's going to look in the end, I think. I don't know.
No, you're right. That's correct. I understand what you mean. Yeah, because there's the big complaint is that a lot of animations don't go off. And you know what's funny? We actually have a very recent example of them doing exactly what I'm going to say they should do and what people have been saying they should do for ages. The problem is they make the animation happen after the cast bar finishes for a lot of skills. And then the animation effect is when you die, not like the cast bar ending. Like if you died instantly on the cast bar ending and then the animation finished, that kind of looks stupid. But if you're not in it when the animation finishes because you were in it when the cast bar ended, it also looks stupid. But they've done that for ages. And there's no better, I think, parallel between Labyrinth of the Ancients Behemoth and P9S's Meteor during the Behemoth phase. Because Labyrinth of the Ancients Meteor, the animation does not happen until Ecliptic Meteor has finished casting. But they make the actual impact of the meteor in P9S at the end of the cast bar. So if you've played since A Realm Reborn, it is the scariest looking dodge for a melee doing it last second. But if you're just playing it as it is in front of you, it makes perfect sense.
You know what's so great about that P9S Meteor? Is that it takes over the whole screen and you can't even tell what's happening anyways because it's so like visually you can't see anything in the first place. Like you basically just go blind for that moment. So it's like, well, you won't really know if anything's janky. How you can't even see it.
I've always questioned. I was like, how did that melee survive? Then I did it as a melee. I was like, oh, now I see. It's the animation is on the end of the cast. Like it actually lines up with the cast bar finishing. This is what it looks like when it makes visual sense. Versus what I'm thinking of where it's at the end and then you run 10 feet and then you die.
I've been fighting that this whole entire time. I had no idea it was like right at the end of the animation. Paid attention to that. I because of my instincts from like back in exactly the reference you're making with the meteor and Behemoth. Oh god.
Just gotta realize. As soon as you realize, like, oh shit.
Yeah.
He's right.
I mean, You did mention Kai a little bit, I think, about JP. Maybe the servers over there, it doesn't look as goofy. It's a little bit,
Some definitely
not as
still look
bad.
goofy in Japan.
I mean, I do think there is some goofiness that still happens over there, but there is some point like the. Actually, I don't know if this happens in China too much. I'd be curious to talk about that because China's pretty big overall. I don't know how the servers work over there, but I would assume like over in Korea, it's not. It's probably similar to what it would be over in Japan, right? With the latency and everything else.
Oh yeah, everything in Korea, every game in Korea is like this.
Yeah.
They have it's insane how good. It's not even just the size of Korea. Their infrastructure is also
right.
Miles
Well, a little smaller
beyond
size is
everything
easier to
else.
have that kind of infrastructure. Too,
Yeah, but I
right?
mean, it's like
Yeah.
negative ping. They
Yeah.
give you ping back.
Well, that all being said, I think like a lot of these places, this is kind of more like a European and North America issue overall, more than it is like in these other different sections in these regions. And so like but NA and EU are still pretty big parts of the Final Fantasy XIV community overall, the global community. It can't go unnoticed, right? It may be seen as like one of the smaller problems in the big scale of all the problems that they're hearing about from everywhere globally, but it's still pretty big. I think enough for them to be aware. Huh?
Frosty. Phone, shut up. I'm trying to have a conversation. Do you remember what I asked Yoshi P for Endwalker's media tour?
No.
Machinist.
No, I don't. Machinist.
I said for like the last like 5 or 6 years, machinists have been struggling to fit their hypercharge windows in that. And I got the response basically saying, we've never seen anyone complain about that.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
So there is like that's like probably, I think that might be the single most direct case of people like, I think that is the quote when they say it's like that. I think they're actually pulling from that interview nowadays because he literally basically says, no, that's not an issue. Please direct the complaints. Yeah, it was wild that was like the biggest discrepancy. I think that might be the biggest discrepancy between like what they've see like when they play machinists over there versus what we see and the feedback differences being there. Because I don't know a single machinist who hasn't complained about that, even if you have low ping.
That is strange. I feel like that should have been pretty apparent. I don't know if it's worth diving into too much because I don't know what we could say outside of them just maybe not listening.
Well, it's a product of more cheating because there's the thing.
I guess that's true.
Yeah,
There's
it's
things
exactly
that fix
it.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's like it's those things. Like people are trying to create solutions to things. Like some of the cheating is like really bad. Some of it's trying to create solutions to things that
quality of
people
life,
just want improved.
Yeah.
And see, and you get into this whole conversation of like, well, PlayStation doesn't have this stuff, so is it considered, cheating as well? And I've gotten past that. I'm at the point again. There are things that are clearly cheating. That's breaking the game. There's things that are just, hey, the game should be playing this way. You can't really be too upset about it, or it doesn't make that much of a difference. And I hate playing in the gray area. It sucks. I wish we didn't have to. And that would come into line of them implementing something like anti-cheat stuff and actually trying to figure out the legalities of doing that kind of stuff. But that would take a lot of resources on the Square Enix side to do as well, right? And people will still find ways around it. The really dedicated people who are going to figure it out.
It
would it be enough to boost confidence?
There's literally decades of games to prove otherwise that have DRM and anti-cheat that still have those things.
Do you not feel at a bare minimum level though with some type of anti-cheat that it would like a preventive measure where people would second guess whether they're actually going to use something that was cheating though? Probably. At that point? Yeah. It's like I feel like just having like something there is more of a deterrent than necessarily like, oh, we're gonna completely prevent it altogether. Like that's how I look at it. And I think the big problem is like a lot of people would get upset about the mods like that are like visual mods getting nuked because of that, but like I feel like a small barrier just to stop some level of it from happening would help.
Yeah. I agree.
There is a single case of them doing some form of anti-cheat in 11 or some sort of cheat detection in 11. There's a content not unlike Deep Dungeon called Nizul Isle, where they added a version where you have to do all 100 floors in 30 minutes, and it teleports you up a random number of floors. But it's random, so there's no way to know if you'll actually get to the top floor. You just have to go fast, and try to make decisions. People immediately said, well, that's fucking stupid, so we're going to cheat, and we're going to make sure we can see through the walls and shit, so we can just get to everything. And they added an auto detection to it and banned people for doing that.
Yep. I remember that. People use that in Salvage too.
Yeah, Salvage people did the duping trick, and that got them banned as well.
Well, that too, yeah.
So they added like instance specific cheat detection, which is an interesting prospect versus that. I don't really know how that worked. I wish I had more insight into it, but yeah, I don't know if it was just they detected the movement of the player and if it was irregular, because they could just see and go through walls and stuff like that, and that was it, or if there was anything else. But it's
I mean, they don't have to put client-side detection on there. They could just put logistical, like, this doesn't make sense at all detection, and use that to help. Like, if you're at X and Y axis on this PvP map, just gonna ban you. Right? Or just like bring you to GM jail, figure it out from there, put alerts up, have GMs. I mean, and that's the other part of it that I think so many people have complained about, and they just wish the communication was better and the response was better and things were more like, oh my gosh, someone cheated. Well, they're just gone, right? Yeah. Or like it was very obvious in their public statements of we are taking. They send out that email every once in a while, and they're like, this many accounts have been banned, this many accounts Who looks at that and who pays attention? You get numb to that kind of stuff because you don't see the stuff that's actually happening in front of you. You don't see things happening to it. So when it does happen and you feel like nothing is being done about it, again, it uninspires you. So I do think that needs to be improved. There's a decent amount of work that could be done on the probably on the GM side in general. I just don't know what that is. I haven't been there. I know people who have been there, but I don't know what that looks like in Square Enix's side. But I can tell from a player perspective, a lot of people are not happy with it. So
no, I'm happy. I got him. It took an hour, but I got him.
You got me at the beginning of the show. You didn't have to do it again, man. You didn't have to do it again.
I guess I feel like it's a little bit strange they don't have the like auto detection stuff too, because like how many Lalfos are under Limsa right now?
There's a lot.
I feel like that should be pretty easy.
You not know about that slide?
Yeah.
No.
The Lalafell's underground cities?
Yeah. There's literally entire like cities of characters that exist underneath Limsa Lominsa of just position hacked players. If you idle cam, you find them is the big thing. Yeah.
And the people shouting that they're selling Gil constantly in all the main cities, and they just maybe they're so bombarded with just kind of dealing with that and going through the red tape to handle it. That's like,
yeah, I kind of agree with that. I kind of feel like they had to deal with more mundane shit than, the actual complex cheating shit. Like, yeah, like you said, the Gil sellers, just like regular mundane shit. And it's a lot of mundane shit thrown at them. So it kind of gets in the way of things.
Aren't stealing my Queen Bean title from me. So as a player, you don't care as much. Right?
You don't care as much, but it is an annoyance, isn't it? You get tired of it, right? I mean, what's the most you can do? Like just fucking blacklist them and move on. I mean, but they're still going to be there.
It's literally impossible to handle, and Gil gold sellers, they're a force that you can't stop. You can just try to mitigate as much as possible, which in the end, the more they mitigate, the more value goes up right? For the whoever's doing it, so they still
You'd
get pretty much the same amount of
see-
money, no matter how much it's mitigated.
Here's the thing: you'd think that, but man, if they stayed unbanned and actually got some submarines going, they'd be fucking rich.
Yeah, and the market would be crashed, right?
The market already sucks because of submarines.
But it would be it would hit the market to a point to where like yeah.
He's like,
So-
yup, I know about them submarines.
You know, I've seen interviews with someone who does gold selling in WoW, and they make tons of money off of it. They have lots of stuff going on, and they were so confident, no matter what, they were going to keep it be in business and hardcore WoW. No matter what it is, there will always be a market, and even if they get banned, they have ways that they'll be able to battle it and work around it because this is a business and they make a lot of money off of it. So it's going to be something that never goes away. They could just do their best to kind of mitigate it. But the regular player, I think, no matter what MMO they go to, they're probably kind of used to it. What they're upset about is that they feel like they're not able to legitimately get better at stuff and earn things, like when getting rank 1 in PvP or whatever else it may be. Even though that's not the case entirely, it just that perception is out there because they're not seeing that communication from Square Enix of look at this guy. He was egregiously doing horrible stuff. He got screwed over, right? And if he's back, he gets screwed over again. And we just constantly keep making an example of him. That's stuff that people would cheer and care about. So I don't know.
I have a question, Frosty.
Yeah.
In the top 100 in PvP,
Mm-hmm.
how many would you guesstimate are either, and you don't need to break this apart, A,
Sure.
actually cheating, and B, sold accounts?
It used to be pretty bad back in the day with Feast, but it wasn't so bad that you would assume anyone on the top 100 was cheating.
Okay.
There's a couple instances, like I think on Primal, that it got really bad, and it was more of like people making accounts and legitimately going up and just making multiple characters to get to the top of the leaderboard and then selling stuff that way. That was pretty bad, right? And that takes more than the anti-cheat. That takes like a GM researching the situation and trying to put pieces together and come to a conclusion without hard, solid evidence. It's obvious someone's cheating there. A lot of the cheating came in line of using things that are acceptable in PvE but would not be acceptable in PvP too, right? Like being able to time server pings is kind of goofy if you do it in PvP because you're fighting against other people, and being able to get the server ticks is kind of sketchy territory there.
Meanwhile, PvE is like, I'm going to do the allotment opener, and you're like, all right, congratulations.
Yeah, and so there is stuff in there, and there is like this area, mostly when you're doing PvP. I think I could be wrong because I just haven't been as much like in the community. There's people who could speak on it a lot better than I can. But you don't use third-party add-ons at all, and if any third-party add-ons are used, it's considered cheating in a way. So that gray area isn't really there. I mean, besides not safe for work mods, those are exceptions.
Everyone's just nude fighting each other in PvP.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
That's a different kind of PvP, but you know.
Yeah. And so it is a different kind of world, and that is a lot harder to kind of control. I mean, there is stuff out there that would tell you, I'm pretty sure, who people are targeting and stuff and trying to alert you, and it's just getting into some really goofy stuff that's harder to see. But it would take if a human being, maybe a queen being or king being, I don't know, was sitting there and looking at this stuff, play on words. I did pretty good. All right, if was sitting there and looking at the characters playing and noticing that they were doing inhuman responses to things, then they could take action to it. And I think that would do a lot of good for PvP in general. And boost people's confidence. I don't think there's enough people out there really doing it. Again, I think it's a little bit overblown, but there are people who do that kind of stuff out there, and that's what people are worried about. And so that would go in line with, again, GMs being really hardcore about the stuff to help boost the PvP scene. But the PvP scene, they would need that. Then they would need Square Enix to make more official in-game light party competitive stuff. So that would be the other thing.
Where's the Criterion time attack? Come on.
Cartoon, yeah, that would be great too.
It's just
PvE
it's
people.
the same as hitting up the bars.
Sort of.
I guess that
it's
the trash
more advanced. It's
a
more
little
advanced.
more advanced. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of stuff they could do with competitive PvE that would be a lot more fun. But it would come into the same ground of like, okay, well, if they're using a little bit of something to give them an edge, or they're using other programs and stuff like that, people will feel not happy about it. Then you get into gray area. Was accepted. Then again, Square Enix has to step in and take action. If you have any evidence of you ever doing anything with any third party, it's bannable. So it's way more messy than it should be. Square Enix could be doing a better job about it.
Sly.
Sorry, I put out a lot of shit out there.
I mean,
you guys are just
and I agree with it, but like you're asking for like a lot of manpower too. That's a lot of manpower.
What's
that
the
has
value
to get
of
added on?
The value.
That's the question. That will always be the question. What will Square Enix get out? Because they're a business. We all believe Yoshida is our friend, right? We believe that because we see him. We're like, man, that's a friend. I look up to him. Everything else.
That's my boy. That's my boy. Yeah.
But in the end, it is a business, and he's running a business, and the company needs to be profitable. He wants to make a good game. That's clear. But he also wants to make Square Enix happy and continue on this train of success. And so putting resources in to build confidence in building a mode like PvP would be awesome. But what would that lead to? What value would that lead into for Square Enix? Same thing with the PvE side of stuff.
Probably more than Criterion at this point.
Yeah. Would it get more people playing the game? Right? Would it get more people subbed to the game? Would more people buy stuff on Mog Station? I don't know.
No, you don't need any more motivation for that. Y'all motherfuckers need to put your wallets away. You'd be like, I can make this Ice Heart outfit in game. Buying it anyway. Don't care.
What was that thing? Some expansion or some DLC or some game that Blizzard put out. They put out a game. They put a lot of work into it, and they were doing sales comparison, and it made less money than an item that was added to their store for WoW.
I don't remember this, but I totally believe it.
I can't remember what it was. It was
StarCraft 2. There you go.
Was that it? StarCraft 2. Was it Wings of Liberty, or was it something? What was it? I can't remember what it was. Or StarCraft 2 in general made less money than an item on the Blizzard store, a virtual item. And so you got to start thinking when you're a game developer and you're looking at what this costs to make this versus what it costs to make that, and how much you get back from it. Those choices can become a little bit more clear to you on the business side.
God, that reminds me. The very first, I think, purchasable WoW mount was like there's a boss in Ulduar called Algalon. He's like a secret boss. You get like 1 hour a week. They made a horse that it was just like a galaxy horse. Mm-hmm. And I bought it when I was in college, and I started getting kicked from groups because I bought it out.
The whales were not accepted back then, I guess. I don't know.
That's like, and it's funny because in 14, I've almost never bought an item for myself from the Mog Station. I think on one hand I can name the number of things I bought for myself off 14's Mog Station.
I bought server transfers. I think
that's a service though. I don't. Nobody looks at
services
that.
I don't.
People buy each other's stuff a lot too. Like I've bought people's stuff, but I've not bought stuff for myself. Right?
No, I've spent thousands on stuff for other people.
Yeah.
When they made it easy. Now it's a pain in the ass. So no, y'all don't get anything. Blame Square.
Yeah. I mean, that was their decision. So, sorry, guys. I go on my rant.
Sorry. Oh, yeah. No, you're right. You shouldn't be talking on a podcast.
I shouldn't be talking as much.
Yeah.
I like talking, though.
Go on, Frosty.
You might say almost,
bro.
I like the.
You're used to Xeno just popping off for the whole fucking 2 hours. This is just the same thing. You're just Xeno now.
Are you calling me Xeno?
Yeah, we got to shave your head once you clear top.
I would not look as good as Xeno if shaved head. I can tell you that much.
Well, I guess we'll find out. Oh, next time you do a World Race charity thing, instead of doing the ultimate, it's bald Frosty.
You know what? What I'll do is I will do an ultimate for 50K to charity, or if you do 50K to me directly, I'll shave my head.
Listen, I'm just getting people excited for the next Frosty World race because they're ready for Bald Frosty. They're ready for it.
Oh gosh, dude.
Bald talk.
It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, just do a show where it's only just do with Zeno, you Bald. Yeah, you'll make a Bald talk.
I'll put a cap on. My hair, I have to hold on to.
It means a lot to you, huh?
I gotta hold on to it while I can. My daughter's taking it strand by strand. I'm trying to hold on though. Oh jeez.
Oh man.
Sorry, I don't even remember what we were talking about earlier. I think it was more of just the GM side and taking more action and how much it's worth Square Enix to put resources into correcting some of this stuff. I mean, do you feel like there is value for Square Enix to put in resources to fix what we perceive as cheating in the game?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You've used the word uninspired, Go Kai.
I was gonna say, like, they've spent so much time on the new PvP mode and like updating PvP constantly. I feel like there's got to be some value there because like there's definitely doubt. Like in my mind, like because of Back into Feast and like stuff that I encountered personally, like it has deterred me from wanting to do CC quite as much, and like that a lot of times deterred me from even participating in Feast back in the day because I every time I'd hit something like on a consistent basis that felt was like something's wrong here, it definitely put doubt in my mind whether I wanted to waste my time on doing this anymore.
Kai's a great example, because he was uninspired to play Feast more because he was a bad player, but he saw people cheating. And he assumed everyone was cheating because he saw one case of it. So every time he lost, and the bad player stuff came out. It was a false connection he made that made him like not want to play anymore.
Christ.
Frosty, who lost back at FanFest 2016?
Hey, don't bring that up. I think you're
who lost at FanFest 2016?
But he didn't blame
stage.
cheaters.
I didn't blame cheaters. No, I didn't. I didn't blame cheaters at all. I took that one personally. That was rough.
God.
I ran the wrong way. It was all me. Although if we would have tied, it would have made a bad situation for that stage event because it would have gone way too long.
For sure.
So I did a service to Square Enix by running the wrong way on stage.
That's why they invite him back. Like he understands. Get him back here.
Yeah, he understands. We just need stuff to run smoothly and not just be horrible at the end and be overtime for 20 minutes, which some of those matches were pretty long.
I don't think I've ever heard Frosty just tell someone they're bad, ever. I mean, I don't watch him do PF much, so maybe that's why.
I mean, he's only going to do it on another fucking podcast. He won't do this on his own podcast.
Oh, I do it. I've done it.
I don't know. I turned into Frosty the other day when we were in the same Fall Guys match, and he was talking some shit. I think
that's his own stream. That's his own stream. He'll do it on his own stream, but not on Mog Talk. He won't do this shit on Mog Talk.
Every time I got into a match, I saw Kai there. I'm like, of course this asshole's here. Now I got to compete with someone who's, try-harding this. God, why do I don't even want to play anymore. You always hope you just get into a match and the other 23 people just don't know what they're doing. But when you know someone's in there actually going for that 100 title and is making it a big thing, you're like, well, now I have to actually try to win.
You know what that reminds me of? When I was climbing a crystal in season 1 of Crystalline Conflict, and I saw someone who I knew was clearly better than me queuing, I was like, 50-50, they're on my team. 50-50, they're on my... Well, 4 out of 9
It's not
chance
50-50.
Yeah.
It's a little bit less than 50-50.
Yeah, I know. It's 4 out of 9. But I was like, it's okay. Just come on. I'll get them on my team a few times. I'll get some risers out of this. We'll be good.
I kind of had the same thing.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of had the same thing with like people in my chat. I'm like, look, I'm tired of seeing y'all motherfuckers. And I'm trying to I'm dead ass tired of seeing y'all motherfuckers. And I'm almost at Crystal. And this was like when I was like nearly at Crystal and then like kept losing the rating matches to get to it. Yeah. And then motherfuckers would always be in there. I'm like, why? Of course you would choose now. You could have queued in any other fucking time, but you chose now. So yeah, I get that, Happy.
But you're inspiring them to do more PvP.
Exactly.
Come on, you're doing the streamer.
What the real secret is to find out who's the worst player that is currently playing and queue as their job. What they're queuing up as, queue is their job. That is the play to make. You find out who is the worst player currently in the player pool.
That's toxic.
No, that is the strat. That is it.
So when you're queuing up, what do you play as, Frost?
Whatever I need to level. I play casual now. I'm a casual PvP.
All right.
So whatever I need to level, I queue as that. And so, but yeah, no, I think, God, what we were talking about something about. Oh yeah, me shit talking, right?
Yeah.
So
everyone's a cheater when they're around you, Frosty.
No, everyone who loses claims that everyone else is cheating, which is what Kai did. But like, what?
Still going.
That's not what I said. Just to be clear, there's some weird shit going on. That's what I said.
Weird shit, right? What? It's like assuming, right? That's referencing. I think we need to normalize shit talking people in the moment and knowing that is a momentary situation where you're just having fun and you're shit talking, right? That needs to be normalized. People shouldn't take that stuff seriously because it's over after it's said, right? It's a fun moment. Then you move on. Then because if we got to the point to where we couldn't like react and be like, like someone messes up something or someone does anything bad, be like, what the fuck are you doing? And we can't do that. Man, life would be boring as shit.
Frosty, man, what happened to you? I followed you for years, but now seeing you get so toxic and aggressive or anyone disagreeing with you, it's kind of depressing. It's one thing to point out faults and critiques. It's another to shit on anyone who disagrees.
Oh, Jesus. I didn't actually know about that until he told me about that yesterday. Oh, my God.
Thank you, stream chat. There you go.
Yeah. The perfect copy pasta. But yeah, if they did more stuff, people like Kai would keep playing Feast or keep playing CCRC.
What it's funny because we started by talking about cheating, but when he mentions weird shit, it actually kind of digs into both topics because one of 14's biggest criticisms in PvP is that whole position of the player, client side versus server side, because you more often in PvP than anywhere else are in range, you start an animation for your attack, but then the server communicates to you that they're actually out of your range. And so you're like,
yeah.
And then they run through you to cancel. So like there's all sorts of stuff like that that's very, very strange and off-putting that could qualify as weird shit.
Yeah.
There's that, but just in reference to the PvP stuff, like there's a lot of times at least back when I was playing very frequently, there's a lot of people who just stand in the middle, be very obviously throwing. And it happens so consistently, at least in the first couple of seasons, that it deterred me from wanting to do it because I felt like it was only happening when it was on my team. And it made me feel very like this. That's what I mean by weird stuff. Not necessarily like just like weird, like glitching around or like someone like looking like they're lagging, like or like
win trading,
moving strangely. Yeah. It's just I
will let you know.
Or like someone trying to throw or on purpose for wins. So yeah,
lazy players are way worse than cheating players. They have way worse of an effect, and they are way more prominent in this game than people who cheat. Yeah. I'm gonna let you know 100%. And the laziness spawns more cheating stuff, right?
That's true.
It spawns like people piloting accounts. It spawns all this stuff that isn't like using third-party programs to do shit. The lazy, and I don't know of a better word to put there. I feel like that's the right word.
That's the right one
for it. You know. They're like, oh, well, I don't have a team that can win. Well, let me just sit here and AFK. It doesn't matter anymore. I'm not going to put effort into this because I don't feel like the players I have are going to make it easy enough for me to win.
Then don't fucking queue.
I wish that people would take that, but they don't care. They're waiting until they get the easy way out. And it sucks. It feels like such a shitty thing to say, right?
No,
but it's very legitimate.
Frosty, even traffic is down to lazy people because they just don't want to get better at fucking driving, so they make everyone else's life miserable. Everything's down to lazy people.
True.
Yeah.
True.
LA is full of lazy people.
You know what's funny? You could relate so many things to traffic any example, any life lesson,
Yeah.
because you're getting a whole bunch of people who literally only have the only thing that relates all of these people is that they need to go somewhere. They could be completely different people who spawn different habits, different thoughts, different reasons for why they drive, how they should drive, how everything else should be done. And with loose laws where they're either like, oh, well, I should follow the law or I should not follow the law. Oh, that's stupid. We'll go 5, 10, 20, 50 over, whatever. If you don't do that, then you're a horrible person. Things like that, right, is a great example to always go to if you ever need to explain and relate something bad happening like in the game. You could always point the traffic and make sense out of it. Because that's the same shit that happens in Party Finder. That's the same shit that happens. The goal is to beat the fight, to clear it, right? You do experts. The goal is to get through it and get your tokens and not really give a shit about anything else. You have no care about the other people around you. They're just on the road, right? So I don't know.
And this makes not having good rewards for Criterion even worse because you won't be lazy to get through Criterion. You can't be, kind of, and the game doesn't reward you for not being lazy.
That's why I said active, because there's no...
You're just fucked. All this shit that's super easy, people get lazy even though it's easy, and then the shit that's hard, they're like, no, we can't give you anything. They can't do that. That's not right.
And I mean, a lot of people will relate like lazy and casual, but those are not the same thing.
No, they're not
at all. They're
No.
completely different thing. Casual players, if you're casually playing this game, they try, right? They will try. I try when I play casually. I still try and I put forth effort and everything else. Lazy players can be really hardcore about how lazy they are.
It's like a competition.
All right. It is like, how little effort can I put in to this game and get the most out of it?
Some call it min-maxing, but not in this case.
Yeah.
Min-maxing laziness?
Yeah.
Gosh. So I hope that people understand that when I say that I'm not trying to there's never any shots about this talking about casual players at all with this. It's literally the attitude of just people who want rewards but want to go about it in the laziest way possible. So.
You know, Frosty, I've never seen this side of you. I'm kind of.
Have you not streaming? It's fucked me up. Then I don't know. I guess it's
welcome to the club.
From you. That is the realest shit I have ever heard streaming. Has fucked me up, man.
I guess so.
God damn! It's my 10-year anniversary. I'm taking that for my 10-year stream anniversary. Okay. Yeah, streaming has fucked me up, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's streaming or top. I actually no. Here's the problem. It's not even. I don't know that it's streaming. It's because when you stream, you do PF and top. What the fuck do you like?
Yeah.
Even?
I love PF so much, though. I love rating.
Do you?
Game. I love PvE.
I feel like
love it.
I feel like that's Stockholm syndrome. Sorry, calling it.
I mean, okay. Eureka Orthos. Eureka Orthos. I did that blind, right? I never did a deep dungeon solo before ever. That was the first thing I did with streaming. Was Eureka Orthos blind, going in and learning deep dungeon. That was a 2-month experience for me of logging in every day and only doing deep dungeon. And now some people, like Angelus, are really good at that. And they're accustomed to it. I wasn't. And when I had things come out of the wall, stab me, and I was dead, I got frustrated sometimes, and I think I broke a little bit with that content. Party Finder, you know what gets me more than anything else? It's not really streaming. It's like when I have situations to me that are funny, I'm like, this person was being ridiculous, but so many people agree with that ridiculous person. That stuff breaks me because I just don't know what to expect with the world anymore. All right.
Yeah.
That stuff throws me for a loop. Because when I see a situation where I'm doing Party Finder and they're all random people, like they don't know, they're not communicating with each other, they're just trying to get through the content, right? And then you have a player who is playing a job and they're like, I can't move right now because I'm in the middle of my rotation, and they just don't move and kill the entire group, and they're like, oh, I thought you guys were going to move for me. I thought you guys were going to do that. And I put it up, I like, this is funny, and everyone agrees, oh, he shouldn't have moved. The player should have adjusted to him so he could do more DPS. And then I'm like, oh, well, let me just put up another example. That's, maybe some people are just really big about their DPS. And I'm like, I'm going to lock out this job. Yeah, I just don't like the people that job. I have a bias against people at this job. I think it's I don't want them in the party because sometimes they're just really bad. We're talking about black mages the entire time I'm talking about, right?
No,
It's always black mages, right?
That's why I was doing the fire for them.
Exactly. And they're like, I lock out black mages for my group because they're so hit or miss. And I'm like, that seems pretty silly. Don't you guys think it's silly? And everyone's like, nah, true base, yo, bet. That's right. And I'm like, what? Where Final Fantasy works so hard to homogenize the jobs to where it doesn't matter. It is all player.
You picked the one job that never got homogenized, though. You gotta understand.
I mean,
you did just pick the one of like 3. It's like Black Mage, Monk, and like one other.
But I mean, like in the sense of like being able to clear the content, there's no huge difference with it, right? And there's just the bias and the assumptions that come with it. But I've seen players bad on every single job. There's not been one that has outshined the other. It's just the meme of Black Mage exists, and that keeps people into this bias where we're not going to bring them in. They've done that with other jobs before, and I think that's silly. But to have so many people agree with a bad take, that stuff breaks me.
That's why you as a paladin were not welcome anywhere in Heaven's War.
I mean, like, I understood that. I was just like, you know what? My group's okay with it, so we're just going to do it. Right? I was in my bubble with my group, and I wasn't hurting anyone. I understand why people didn't like Paladin back in the day.
I'm just saying it's the same mentality.
Right,
fuck them,
right.
they're out. I'm locking them out, kind of like I'm perfectly okay with doing that kind of thing.
Are you sure your stream isn't gaslighting you, Frosty?
No, this is stuff on Twitter, right? This isn't people.
Oh, okay.
Like that's like streaming doesn't gaslight me that much. Everyone's like, that's funny. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's the community I have. They understand and they're not stupid, right? But it's a free range in Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was thinking you're meeting on your stream. Okay.
I was gonna say, are you sure your stream isn't gaslighting you into thinking they're not gaslighting you?
Right.
Oh, I'm sure they do some funny stuff with my mental health, but you know what? At the moment, I'm pretty positive about it. So,
no, that's fair.
Yeah.
No, I understand everything you just said.
I'm glad you do. It's just it's surprising to me. It's surprising to me, and people are so aggressive about it too. To me, it's just all funny because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
I just have fun with the game.
I remember in Stormblood when Samurai came out, I saw a Samurai locked out, and this was after Samurai had been buffed, so it was not like kind of like launch Samurai. And I was like, why? And I asked the person, I was like, why are you locking out Samurai? Because like they got those buffs, and they were like, honestly, it's because too many fucking weebs bad at the job play the job, so I just lock it out.
I can imagine that.
That
now is like a realistic something that a Final Fantasy 14 player might do. I believe that now. When people mess up mechanics and they yell at the entire group, I believe that now. Those people exist. All right. I thought it was all memes back in the day. When people lock it to 2 melee, I believe it. I believe
it's all true. It all came from a place of truth.
Yep. I guess all jokes all have some little bit of something in it, right?
Well, the problem is for us, you made the mistake of thinking they were ever jokes. They're funny, but they're not jokes.
It's just so I didn't think that so many people would agree with a bad take is the thing. And it's not like an obviously like, or it's not like one of those things that's ambiguous. It could be like one way or the other. It's literally no, if you take 2 seconds to think about it, this is just a bad take to argue that side of it. And my favorite thing when arguing with some people on the internet, and this happens everywhere, is people could do whatever they want. It's a free internet, I guess, is what they say. I don't know. It's their choice. They could do it. That is never the point, right? You're just talking about something stupid. To like end the argument or conversation with like, oh, they could do whatever they want. Yeah, duh. What am I gonna do?
Well, I had a situation like this the other day, and I'm trying to remember exactly how it went. I forgot what I tweeted. It was something like, I don't normally think this, but like, and then I said something, and like every tweet was like, yo, base, and then there's that one person who's just like, well, why would you think of it this way and not this way? And I'm like, I didn't think I could read anything dumber today. It's just, Like, there's always that. Oh, I remember one time I said, just my opinion, but if you're a mentor and your first response upon queuing into an instance is to leave because you just don't like what you got, you shouldn't be a mentor. And
that's the thing.
Yeah.
There's players. Again, it's the lazy players are the problem.
I got a very angry response to that by clearly somebody who has a crown who
you don't pay my sub.
They didn't pay for their chicken nuggets at Burger King. They just took the crown. They just grabbed it and tried to walk out. They didn't buy no big kids meal or nothing.
Yeah. Oh, jeez, dude.
Do you think it's a problem of, like, with the mentor thing though? Like, just because of how, like, they put like the amount behind it though? Like, that's pretty like huge. Like, people want to like
lazy people want reward.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there's so many of them out there. By saying that, I'm pissing off a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because they'll be like, I do that. You calling me lazy? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby. You're not a horrible person. I'm sure you volunteer at like hospitals and stuff, and you do a lot of really good work and everything. I'm sure you're a great person. But yeah, this instance is pretty lazy.
Did you ever watch season 1 of Jack Reacher, like the new one that's on like HBO?
Oh, I don't think I have. No.
There's literally a point where a guy's like, "Are you calling me a liar?" And he just very calmly says, "Yes." That's this situation. Are you calling me lazy? Yes.
And Kai, the problem inherently with Mentor is like a problem we've constantly had with so many features in 14. It's a good idea on paper. Yeah. It just doesn't work for us, as in North America. Like it's an Eastern idea. It's an Eastern idea that will not fucking work here.
I completely agree with you. I completely because like I feel like there's like in the East they're like culturally they're so less individualistic, and because we're all like only thinking about ourselves, it's like the immediate like jump to like, oh, I'm gonna need to make this easy as possible for me. All you guys, everyone else you're running into is like a problem, not me, and they don't think about like, anyone else's problems that you're like causing by doing it. Yeah, totally.
I think that's really what it comes down to is like you can be lazy when it doesn't hurt anyone. Who's going to care? But if you're doing something that's lazy and it's affecting other people, like leaving queues and abandoning people who are trying to do stuff, or wasting time waiting for something to time out and it's affecting other people, that's a pretty bad lazy. That's the one that we all care about. Now, if you're lazy, like you're like, I'm not going to clean my house today. That's on you, dude. It's your house. I don't live in it, right? But if you come to my house and I'm like, hey, can you said you're going to do this and you don't do that thing, or you're real lazy about it, I'm like, that kind of affects me a little bit. And when we're in Fall Guys and you guys don't move and I have to sit there and just look at you at the face for like a minute while you just sit there, that affects me. All right.
It's more like going to like a public bus station or like a public train station, and everyone's there trying to get, they're all there for the same reason, to go from point A to B, but somebody just pisses in the middle of it. They're just like, I'm gonna pee right here. That's it. They're disrupting. They're disrupting it.
They're like, it's easy for me to just pee right now. I don't really care about.
Yeah, what you guys think. I don't need to go to the bathroom. What? There's a perfectly good floor right here.
Yeah. And I think like a lot of people, to give some credit to it, a lot of people who are doing stuff like this don't really think about these next levels. And I mean, Kai, I'm not going to bring up the shopping cart stuff. I feel like I've had the shopping cart conversation multiple times. But like, Happy, you really giving me that face like you don't know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah, I don't listen. I don't listen to you though. So it's like I'm trying to.
You gonna make me bring this back up? You're gonna make me bring this back up, guys? If you have a shopping cart and there's a corral and it's your responsibility to put it in there, you go and you put it back, right? You put the shopping cart back. That is if you don't do that, you're automatically an asshole. That is literally it. There is no like.
This is like my weeb versus fucking weeb conversation, kind of.
This is a huge litmus test for anyone out there. And you may be thinking, well, I don't return my shopping carts. Why? I don't feel like I'm an asshole. You are.
Yeah.
All right. It's okay if you've just realized that you're an asshole. Just fix it and try to move forward and be better in the future. Because let me explain this to you. If you have a shopping cart, you have a choice. You're at your car, right? And this is not equivalent to every single country and region because there's different rules with coins and everything else. But in the US, you have a shopping cart and there is nothing stopping you from returning that to the corral outside of you don't want to do it. You could say, hey, I'm just going to push it over into this parking spot. Well, now it's over in the parking spot. All right. Now it's taking up a spot that someone can't park in. Now someone's going to have to technically they're being paid to do it, but they could be efficiently doing other stuff in there besides returning your carts to the corral for you. Right. So you're negatively affecting them. Now, the other thing that you could do is, just push it off to the side, put it in the grass, whatever you might want to do, but it's all negative stuff. There is no other right option besides putting it in the corral. It takes you a couple of seconds. And it does so much. That shopping cart could fly off and hit another car or something just in the road. There are so many negative effects to it. But the only reason you wouldn't return it is because you are lazy and it benefits you personally by a couple of seconds not to return it.
I will one-up you, Frosty.
Go ahead.
I live in San Francisco. Access to a lot of grocery stores, a lot of tall buildings.
Yeah.
Now, it's one thing for people to bring the cart all the way back to their apartment, which I have seen. I have just seen people with the cart in the elevator, just get out of the elevator, just go right to their door. There's something special about when they bring the cart to the elevator, then take the stuff out of the cart and leave the cart in the elevator, because it means they were like, it's like halfway there. It's like, wait, so you clearly didn't need the cart to get this stuff back because you left it halfway, but now it's just in the fucking elevator.
Yeah, that is just like not even caring or thinking about logic of anything, right? You're not even trying to make life easier for you. You're just like, I don't care, I don't think, I just move, right? I do things without any thought into anything that I'm doing. But yeah, I think it's if you put any kind of like, I'm not the only person who thinks this way. If you look up shopping cart litmus test stuff, it's out there. I thought about it myself, right? I came to these terms on myself and found there are other people out there who understand the same situation. That is such a perfect example for finding out, because there's no one out there that is you have literally no negative effect. Unless if there's someone trying to make content out of it on YouTube and like, I'm chasing everybody who's not returning their shopping carts, right? You have that out there a little bit now. But
Cart narcs on YouTube. Now I'm gonna end up.
Yeah, there is. But for the most part, there is no consequence for you to not return that shopping cart. The only thing stopping you from doing that is you. Yeah,
man. Now I'm thinking of the not lazy things I do and being glad that I do them as not lazily as possible. Like, I'll walk behind cars who are trying to exit from the grocery store, and they're waiting for that perfect moment in traffic. I'll walk behind them because I'm like, I don't know if that moment's coming. I can't be that asshole who walked in front of you. And other people are just like, I'm going to walk as slow as possible, and they're going to look you in the eye the whole time they do it too. They're just going to be like, yep, I want you to know that I have the right to walk here, and I don't give a fuck if you can't make a left turn.
Yeah. Well, I think it really comes down to like thinking about why things are the way they are and trying to make decisions that are the right decisions because it makes sense. Whether it's good for you, bad for you, whatever is the right decision there. Overall, should be what you do, right? But a lot of people don't think about any of that stuff. They're just like, I need to leave my shopping cart off to the side and get home because I don't give a shit. People will hit me with like special exceptions. Like, what if there's someone who is pregnant, right? And there's some problem or something else. I'm like, that is not the point of the litmus test. All right. These things don't come into it. Are you pregnant? Is that what you're saying? And so anyways.
Sly, you were going to say something.
Yeah, you were going to say something, Sly. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I love how this whole episode was about cheating.
We're talking about cheating life
Netcode.
now.
Yeah. This turned into fucking therapy.
Wasn't everything, though?
Look, Frosty had yesterday a therapy session on Mog Talk. So he has to now be given the therapy session by you guys. That's what's happening.
It's constant. It's constant, right? it's nice to think of these things on a higher level. I think, as people, we should think about the people aspect of stuff, whys, hows, and everything else, not just
because all that boiled down to is like it's like why do people cheat? They're lazy. What are lazy people like? Shopping carts. Linear train of thought.
Yeah.
And,
they probably don't return their shopping cart.
Make you feel?
Because that matters too. Emotion's a big part of who we are, right? That stuff matters.
That's deep, Frosty.
It's literally human. So, I think, again, another part of it, we should all realize we're playing with humans and they're not NPCs.
I'm not always convinced
easier to
of
think that way.
I'm not always convinced of that.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, fair.
Especially when I'm playing 11.
Oh.
Kai lit up. I like seeing Kai light up when I say, he's like, oh my God, I know exactly what he's
You say 11, you're always going to get like a little laugh out of Kai. It's like a little auto response.
It's just like Happy and me have like a dedicated history for a long time with 11, and it's just like I think Happy plays it like more than I have. And now like it's like when I like always think about him, I'm like, oh my God. Like this is totally 11. I it's like some boomer like, well it's like almost like that's a Persona reference or like something like that. Oh, that's from Final Fantasy 11 referencing or something. I don't know. Yeah. Then 11's in the air too, because remember they're making the 11 raid too soon. So it's like
it's literally one of these moments
on our mind. Yeah. That yes.
Yeah. I think one thing I do want to make clear to anyone who's maybe even listening to the nonsense that I'm spouting out of my mouth is it's okay if you get to a point where you realize, hey, I'm doing some of these shitty things, and then try to fix it later. It doesn't mean you're the worst person in the world. It just means there is a problem with it, and you just don't realize it yet. And hopefully, after realizing it, you care. And if you don't care, then you're for sure an asshole. And that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how cheaters are made.
Yeah.
It's funny. Not all cheaters are lazy people. Some of them try really hard to cheat. They like want to cheat. Like how can I? Oh, let's see. How can I make this?
Yeah, that's true.
Those are the pilgrims of it. It's all the people who come later that are the lazy ones. Yeah.
Some people just like breaking their toys and they want to break them.
I mean, there's entire GDQ sections dedicated to that, like just trying to break things to like the greatest capacity, and then people just translate it into like active, like, oh man, wouldn't it be so funny if my mouse cursor instantly aimed at their head without me trying while I'm pressing the shoot button? Can I do that? Yeah. The
difference is the effect it has on other people, and that's always what it is. That's always that. GDQ, no one cares. Right? You're like, yeah, they're breaking it. It's great. Who? In the end, it doesn't matter that they beat a game in like 10 seconds. And I think when you look at it and you're cheating in like an FPS and no one has a chance, yeah, that matters.
Yeah, because the people who make the cheats go on to be like NASA and software engineers, and the people who use the cheats later are just like, I just don't give a fuck about anyone.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like ethical hackers who get jobs like, look, I just broke your shit, now hire me.
Yeah, the Red Hatters. Yeah. They wait, is that the right one? I'm trying to figure out all the different hats and the different colors and what they're all supposed to mean. I knew all this, and I think that might actually be Linux is Red Hat, and then like there's the red team and there's a blue team. Yeah, white hat and black hat, gray hat, hacking, stuff like that. Yeah. So
all sorts of weird shit.
And they're all good. They all do exactly. They're all trying to make things better in the end.
Yeah, I'm not always convinced of that in 14 though. It's hard to tell because sometimes them cheating is exactly that. It's like, hey, Square, look, now ban me and put it in the game.
I mean, that's part of it, right? A lot of companies will go out there and say, hey, break my stuff so I can figure out how to solidify it. And
Square's not asking for that, though. People are just volunteering. They're like, look what I did. Now add it. I don't ban me. A sacrifice. I'm the sacrifice.
Who wants to be the next martyr on a streamer, right?
I think every patch in Endwalker had a martyr. I think every single one.
Yep. Sure did.
Who will be next? That's the question. Will they ban? I know they already mentioned doing chat bubbles to preach. Are they going to ban him first?
Well, if he puts a mod in that has it on top of it and streams it, then maybe they will.
That's it. He's going to be the one the next one for 7.0. Preach will just turn on the chat bubbles and bam, there you go.
My favorite. Oh man, back in the day, who was it? Maximum came and played the game, and he did. He was like, what can I do to fuck up this UI and make it like as like third party insane crazy as possible? And he left before the huge second coming of never use third party on stream ever came. And he dodged that bullet, but man, I just think about if he was doing that stuff today, what that would look like. Probably not nothing. He'd probably just get banned real quick.
Probably.
I don't think Square would do anything. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know. I have this perception where like with like a lot of WoW people, they just wouldn't touch them. Like I don't
think
know.
so? You think that he has the clout? I don't think so. I don't
know.
think,
Like I
don't
think during that
so.
whole entire boon when there's just a ton of people coming in, that like I just don't think they wanted to touch anyone.
Yeah,
like
no,
because it was like
I
more
agree with
beneficial
that.
for the game.
Yeah,
I think maybe back then that was a consideration, but I don't think. I think since they were so strict on it now, that it wouldn't work.
Yeah, probably now not so much,
Yeah.
but
back in the day, that's probably a
time.
consideration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's crazy to see how, and I feel like it's really boomed. Not some people blame the WoW boom for like the amount of plugins and add-ons and stuff that have been used. I don't think so. I think it just made everyone publicly, because that's the other thing. That's the problem with talking about some of this stuff is you're talking about it to raise awareness, but raising awareness is a double-edged sword. When you tweet about Fall Guys cheating, for example, there's like the 1 in 100 person who goes, "Oh shit, yeah, I gotta go get that right now."
And they go get it and they still lose because it doesn't help you.
Right. I think it's an accessibility thing though, more so lately. Like there's particular things that have been created that make the whole entire getting whatever plugin or thing you want just more accessible. I don't know how much you want me to like say the name of the thing.
That out.
Happy.
Yeah.
That
out.
But
That's exactly the problem. You want to
culprit.
point at the thing, but if you point at the thing, people are just like, "I'll line up for that."
Oh,
that's just how it ends up going. It's such a double-edged sword. There was a specific example I was thinking of, but I lost it somewhere along the line. Ah, man, I was looking forward to bringing that up too. Whatever it was.
Again, I would just ask anyone who's like trying to figure out, is this right or wrong? Look at it. Think if it's an intended difficult, it's intended by Square Enix to make the fight like more challenging or something else. Look at it in a perspective of, is this fixing a problem that is, again, like maybe it's just something that gives you information that shouldn't not be, like, for example, the timers.
Yeah.
Right. That was a pretty big deal. Is it giving something that should be there, or is it actually trivializing the fight as it was intended to be?
See, it's funny. They added those timers, and I couldn't help but notice that the number of debuffs we got on every mechanic went up like 6-fold. It was like, well, you can see it now. Fuck you. Here you go. You have 3, you have 4, you have 2, you have 3. It's just instantly everyone had a billion debuffs, and it was like, that's it. That's our solution.
Top is a fight, man. Actually, a fight.
I'm curious, how do you guys actually think? Because like a lot of people in WoW think that the developers, or like it's been stated by developers that like they develop the fights considering plugins. Do you think Square Enix has at all started doing this in any way? Even though like they don't want to say, you think so, Happy?
No.
Okay.
yeah.
I don't think so.
I think they have. I think they think about it, but they don't let it compromise what they plan on doing. But I'm almost certain they pull it into consideration when they do certain things.
Especially with the controversy, like we've had all of Endwalker for pretty much everything, every patch, every Savage, like all the controversy we've had. Yeah, they have to at this point.
I don't. Yeah. Well, I mean, what did they do to make fights more difficult that require add-ons to do the fights, right? There's not really, I mean, besides the melons, right? Maybe that's part of it, but that's part of communication.
That's a personal thing, though.
But like when you're considering PlayStation players in general, if they considered all the add-ons and they had this like never-ending cycle of trying to keep up with people who are using add-ons, the PlayStation players would be just left out, right?
It's not I don't think that's the thing. I don't think there's like a mechanic that's like, well, people are doing this, so we're gonna make this mechanic this way. I think I definitely with the debuff timers, I think they've now like said, okay, we're gonna go ham with debuff like vomit with like tons of mechanics and stuff. Because they've now they can now use it to like indicate when mechanics are happening, and it's communicated better by the game, so they can abuse it more.
Well, now it's in the game though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But beforehand, I think it was literally just they looked at what the difficulty of fights were prior to that, and they just amped up straight up what the game already asks you to do, just overlapping more things. Which is counterintuitive because that just encourages people to do it more. Which is always, I mean, that's the eternal struggle with WoW. If they try to do it with consideration, then the developers for those things amp up their efforts and so on and so forth, and it's a never-ending war.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, I don't. It's hard to find a right answer. I think Square Enix is going to stay in the stance they are with just not using add-ons as being officially supported. Yeah. And just add in things that they feel like they're okay with, like what add-ons are providing. Just add the stuff into the game so people don't have to think about it, and they'll keep it at that base level. And as they raise that, of course, they'll make the fights more difficult to accommodate that, but not add-ons and directly. I think they mostly look at the players' abilities to clear fights and then ramp it up from there.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. Is like the other caveat to it is like, well, maybe they're not necessarily like doing it based on the add-ons themselves, but like the clear rates probably are just higher naturally because of some of the stuff.
And is that higher because of add-ons though? That would be the question.
It could be. So, it could be.
I would say it's higher because of Discords that are getting like 6 or 7 people have already cleared it before, and
sauce clears or something, man.
Yeah. And just like helping people out getting through this content, and the community literally doing everything they can to have people experience the fights.
Now,
and so
that reminds me of the thing that I was going to bring up, because there's what I think is a gray line that people are perfectly okay with, even though I would argue it is more powerful than almost any tool people would actively use in an encounter. And that is the meme made reality in the form of the simulator.
Oh yeah, God, man. Like that's such a weird. So like when you get into that, and you know, people are recreating fights in Roblox and stuff, right? What do you like?
There's nothing to do. You literally can't do anything about it. Yeah, but like, is that something? It's more so how like that will get you through a fight faster than literally any other tool you could use. If you're like, except on content, because it's not going to be available for something on content.
No. Yeah. So the stuff that I actually feel like, hey, I'm just not going to touch it, is stuff that actually pulls stuff from the data from the game client, right? That kind of stuff is like a little bit cross.
I think that's how it probably started, though, the sim. It did.
Yeah. But when you actually go into, like, if I'm doing like a little sim, like where it's a dot and I'm moving it on a circle to see if I'm dodging X squares, right? And I know the pattern. There's nothing bad with that, right? But literally simulating the exact situation that's happening within a fight, and just saying, instead of having to do phase 1 to 4, let me just go to phase 5 and just do that over and over and over again. That diminishes the difficulty overall. Yeah. But you can't control that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's like an artificial difficulty that's not going to stick for very long. So Ultimate's, their biggest difficulty has always been, this is a long fight, and to even practice these phases, you have to be consistent. But that's going to start going out the window, and I don't know what that means for fights in the future. And where simulations lie with all that.
So what would you call the toolboxes that you see?
Resources. Toolboxes is just a bunch of pictures like strung together. But I think that's the interesting part is with the sim, technically you could not use all of the data, and you could literally make a circle where everyone just controls a dot, and it's the exact same thing. It's just that direct relation and the use of game assets that allow it to exist, that make it the main one that people use. That's the one I'm in particular talking about, where suddenly that like gray line of don't do all these things is like kind of tossed out because it's not actually part of the game. Even if, again, derivatively, you could do the same thing with literally squares and lines and points, and it would achieve the exact same thing.
And so, like, I think there's no way of controlling that in the future, and that's something we're gonna have to live with. And it's just gonna be part of. It's probably gonna become part of rating.
It's just I just remember the memes from T. And I'm like, everyone was like,
private servers?
Yeah, the privates. And then it's like, and then it became like a semi-reality. And everyone's like, oh, this is awesome.
I mean, from my understanding, the Sims are pretty decent, but they're not perfect, right?
They're not... better than running around turn 4 for fucking 3 hours for most people. Yeah.
I mean, like, what I like to do is go look at people's VODs clearing it. And I just sit there. I'm like, all right, this is coming up. I need to press these buttons. Right? And so I'll watch it happen. And that is like, I mean, that's technically simming in a way, I guess, but I think this is just something we're going to have to live with, and Sims are going to exist. What I would like, and the direction I would take is if I ever had to get into that and be like, that's normal and everything, just use it to where it's not stealing stuff from the game client directly. And that would, like, if it's not 1-for-1 exact, like stuff that's just like getting the concept in your mind and stuff like that. Roblox, I'm sure, fine. But like, literally creating the game in a separate spot and executing exactly what you're doing in the game without having to do the previous phases, that seems kind of shitty. Although, you know, they've been asked about it, and
they actually said they were considering doing it at one point. It is actually something that devs like alluded to maybe doing somewhere down the line. But that was in like a Realm Reborn. They alluded.
That was a long time ago. They said, they would. Maybe they'll let people go into these phases to practice.
That was a live letter after Second Coil came out. I remember very clearly when they had mentioned it. Yeah.
I mean, because they're not gonna be able to win that battle. So likely they're gonna. Maybe that's what they have to do in the future is let people practice these phases, and that will dumb down the difficulty a lot. But it's going to go in that direction no matter what.
Yeah.
If they dumb it down, though, I think they're just going to make the difficulty harder each time, though. If they end up adding something like that, there's no way that they like just let it have like easy difficulty, I imagine.
I mean, you're taking time out as the difficulty.
That's the thing. I was about to say that. Like, you're taking time out where like you could actually be doing pulls instead. Like you could succeed through pulls, or you could practice it and then succeed. It's just a matter of
right now, time. If I do top Sly, the first 15 minutes is just literally trekking to get to where I need to go to proc. And so that is burnt time. That is time that I have lost. It's supposed to be part of the challenge right now, but it's not anymore, and I don't think it will be going forward with the future fights. I don't think people are going to use these. Maybe they will have a sim for every single Savage going in the future, but I don't know. It feels unnecessary for things like turn 9 and 10, but maybe some people will want to use solo sims, right? And those solo sims will give them the ability to practice outside of Party Finder and things like that. And so when they actually go in there, they'll be able to execute better. So maybe sims are going to just exist for every single fight in the future. It's interesting, I guess, in a way. A little scary because it doesn't feel right.
Chad brought up something I was also going to get to, is that we kind of see what the in-game example of it looks like with Criterion, because Criterion Normal and Savage are completely identical, but you use Normal as like a mini checkpoint to practice.
True. Oh yeah, it's true.
And let me tell you, you know what you do before you do Criterion Savage? You go do the final boss 1 billion times until you can beat the whole normal mode at one pull, and then you go do the Savage version.
How boring of a freaking moment is that during the world race? I'll tell you that. But here's the I guess in the end, just imagine you have Savage, and then they have normal mode is now 3 fights.
Have you not watched WoW's race where they just go and do splits and they fucking hate their
lives? That is way more boring. I agree.
For ages and ages. They're just like, man, I can't wait to stream splits for 3 fucking days. Woohoo!
See, here's the thing. Here's the more interesting thing about Criterion, at least. You're practicing and getting better at the game versus just getting gear so you can get past checks, which is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But I think that, if they split up these fights going forward and they say, all right, P9S is, when you do it on normal mode, it's 3 different fights in one dungeon, right? And you have a checkpoint for each one. And then if you do Savage, you have to do it all in a line. Maybe that's the direction they take, right? Because they already have the checkpoints that exist in some way in Savage with P12S. Maybe do use that system for normal. And then the Savage version is just going to be no checkpoints.
God,
That
I
could
don't
be
know
what it looks
that
like.
life doesn't sound any better.
I mean, I don't know if it sounds that bad. I mean, if you were going to go do normal, how seriously do you take it in the first place?
If it's going to mean a lot for my prog, I do.
Maybe there needs to be 3 modes. Easy. We'll just call it easy baby mode. We'll call it baby mode. It has the checkpoints. All right, and then we'll have Savage, and it'll be the other one. Then we'll have normal, which is just reduced mechanics.
Can you just call it casual? You just gotta skip over casual and just go baby.
Casual. We don't want to. Casual stuff.
Oh yeah, we don't want to be derogatory. We'll just call them babies instead of casual.
Yeah. Definitely not derogatory at all.
These fucking babies.
Maybe there's some way. Maybe there is some way to do a good form of that in the future, where they have Savage, the 3 modes, normal mode, then Savage mode, then Savage.
Savage Plus, you don't want to call it Savage
Plus.
The Mythic
Maybe
Plus
that's what it's
comparisons,
called.
Yeah. Brutal. So I think in Japan it's called Brutal. I don't think it's called Savage, or at least they were originally calling it. No, they were originally going to call it Brutal. Yeah, that's what the first Savage was going to be called. Yeah, I remember. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what a series of topics. At the end of the day, I think the point of the show is really fucking cheating in Fall Guys. Come on now. I understand. I like how people are like, well, I mean, that's pretty accurate to how actual Fall Guys goes. So, maybe the collaboration is just going for authenticity.
Yeah. I mean, I think a good point to round a lot of stuff up is it's not as bad. It sucks that it exists. It should be fixed. But don't let it ruin the game for you, because it's not out there enough to ruin the game for you. The thought of it being out there enough to ruin the game for you is worse than actually just going out there and playing the game. But it exists, and we need it fixed, so the perception of that stuff goes away. Square Enix could do some stuff to address it and make the perception better, and everyone would enjoy the game more. Mm-hmm. That's my thoughts on it, though.
I agree.
I agree.
There you go.
Get help.
Yeah, if you guys don't agree with me, you better fucking say it too. Because I hate it when I say something and people don't agree with me and they just don't say anything. Man, I need people to tell me I'm wrong.
You need that validation?
Because if you don't tell me I'm wrong now, YouTube's going to tell me later.
If they tell you you're wrong now, though, do you just take it as, okay, that tells me I'm right?
Well, if YouTube tells, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, if YouTube tells you you're wrong, do you suddenly know that you're right?
I put a half a second thought. I put enough of, or more than a half a second. I put a little bit of thought into it. I'm like, is there any valid standpoint here where this person's not a piece of shit? I'm all right then. I mean, they worded this in this way. They're probably a horrible person. That I don't care what their opinion is. I've had to learn that. I get confused about why people hate me so much and why people would be so angry when they type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm learning to let that go a little bit more, because there's just no controlling it.
If you don't agree, gift a sub. That's a good way of taking a survey on it.
You guys should have seen the end of yesterday's show.
God.
I don't want to bring that here, though.
You sure, Frosty?
I'm sure.
No more shopping cart situations.
Oh, it was.
Oh, it's worse.
That. It was the.
It
worst.
was worse. That was nothing.
Bad.
Frosty turned it like pretty degenerate. Let's just say.
I did. Someone else did that, and I just took it one.
You
more
encouraged
step.
it. You encouraged it.
Step. I'm not going to take your show down to that level.
Frosty, I literally.
I mean, you don't have to go far.
Yeah, you don't have to go far. I literally do Thalia once a week and just ask Limlane to step on me. So it's like.
Oh, do you ask people if they fap during your show to sub?
I know. I just assume that they do.
Oh,
have to
okay.
ask.
You're just making sure. I'm just saying how low we're going here.
Well, I mean, that's about waist
not
height
that
if you're looking
low.
for how low.
Okay, that's about you're right.
Yeah.
No,
It could be worse. If they go lower than that, I'm more concerned because that's feet territory. You start at the groin and you gradually work down to the ankles, and then that's the danger zone. Because you go any further than that, it goes really, really poorly.
Yeah. Oh god, it got bad yesterday.
Yeah.
It was good. It was fun.
Is that the next world race? Frosty post feet pics if you get to 50,000.
Dude, I've told people.
Bro!
Look, if you want feet pics, $10,000. I'll do it right now. I'll lift my foot up. $10,000. Go to my tip jar. You donate $10,000. I'll put my foot right up in the air. All right.
You'll wiggle your toes and everything.
Things got prices, and I'll pay it, and I'll go.
Chat says you said 2K. He says they're lying.
On my
2K.
stream. You know, to ruin your show, it would cost a little bit more because I have a little bit of respect for it, but not.
But
Here's
the thing: if they just gave it to me instead, and then I made you do it, it would still be fine.
If you sent me the money, I'd do it.
I'll send you commission.
Yeah, commission me. All right, let's. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do this too. State of the realm.
Like Sly said, you don't have to go very far.
It's like,
Do you understand how many times I've
What?
said the words "dick chariot" on this show whenever Persona comes up?
Fair.
And the new Persona game just came out today. Now there's a tactical dick chariot.
I'll let you know people did sub yesterday.
For the feed or to tell you we're wrong?
Sly understands. We're good.
Okay.
Oh gosh.
So with that, that's our show.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks for bringing me on. Thanks for letting me come on.
Yeah, I was gonna say you sure letting me. Yeah.
Thanks for letting me come on.
Literally come on
This
too.
was a show. This was
I
a
don't-
show.
I don't know if I'll be able to go on to with Frosty anymore after this one. I don't know.
Yeah, now he
Yeah,
has
on anyways,
plausible.
doesn't matter.
On the stream.
Now he has plausible deniability if you ask to come on. It's like, yeah, well, I was on that one State of the Realm with you, so I don't think I should brand
Got a little
associate
bit
anymore.
weird. Oh god.
How far are you falling, Frosty?
Fallen? Where am I falling to?
Somewhere.
Is
You're
this
falling
because is
guy.
this a Fall Guys joke or something?
It wasn't, but good catch.
I don't.
I was thinking more like Lucifer fallen. You know, like
Lucifer,
just
cast out of heaven.
Just cast out of and your hell is the PF. That's the domain you reign
I'm
over.
in here. We're in hell. With our not safe for work mods. Where all the degenerates live.
Yeah, PF. No, that's right. If you go to PF on a Friday night, go to PF tonight. It's exactly what you'll find.
Oh, I know. I am no stranger.
That was weird the way you said that. I'm not gonna lie. That was weird the way you said that. You know. I'm just letting those. I was pretty.
PF does strange things to you, Happy.
That's pretty sus. Get this man some real therapy.
Brand risk.
Please.
I'm falling into brand risk territory. Is what I'm going.
So thanks for watching, everyone.
Sly, sorry. I want to say sorry to you. I apologize to you. I don't apologize to Mike here, but I'll apologize.
Oh,
All
no,
I'm
don't
doing,
worry.
if
No
anything,
worries.
I'm the
This is-
Lucifer. I'm
this
the one
is
bringing
usual.
out the real you.
The real me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I've never seen a side of you, Frosty. I'm kind of, you know.
I don't feel like I've changed or have a different side. I'm just.
We're just
Have you
seeing
ever
more
said
of
I
it.
don't
I'll have
see it?
more opinions.
It's just that I don't see it. Yeah.
I have a
you guys
lot
had
of
him on
opinions.
since streaming?
Huh?
I said, have you guys had him on since he's streamed actively?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe chat screwed me
No.
up. Maybe I have been gaslighted this entire time and turned into this evil monster. I feel normal though. I feel fine.
Evil is a matter of perspective, Frosty.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now that we've talked about cheating and netcode to some capacity, I think we're good to wrap this up. I'm gonna eat and get to the gym. And I have a video to
yeah.
release, which I'll talk about in a minute because it's exciting. Yeah. It's an announcement. Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Well, thank you both of you for joining the show and Kai, thank you for tolerating Frosty.
Oh gosh.
Appreciate it.
All right.
It's a pleasure to tolerate Frost.
Thank you, Kai. I appreciate it.
There you go. Kai, why don't you tell everyone just do a little outro, you know?
Sure. So yeah, you can find me at anywhere that is Kaiyoko Star or Kaiyoko, usually on the internet, which would be Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and probably my Discord. But yeah, but that's it. Yeah, thank you guys both for having me on the show, and maybe one day I'll be able to do a glamour contest for Frosty again. So I'm just saying it here on the stream. Maybe one day.
Yeah. I can't believe people judge me for what I'm saying here, and then Kai gets to go out and have thigh highs everywhere and not judge Kai for all that.
That's because people like thighs.
Huh? Yeah, but they don't like Frosty's stupid comments.
It's for the viewers. It's eye candy.
Fair.
It works.
You know what's really good? I've learned.
Yeah, you can wear thigh high. Why don't you wear thigh high?
Yeah. What's stopping you?
$10,000. Money talks, man. Bills need to get paid.
Frosty, where can they find you? What are you?
Oh
up
yeah,
to?
you can. There's a channel called Mog Talk. That's not, it's not called Frosty TV Stream. It's called Mog Talk. Where
You know what's funny?
Mog Talk content.
On the overlay, I changed to the Twitch. Like I got rid of I didn't want the Twitter bird there because I was like, I'm not typing that. So I changed yours to the Twitch thing.
I appreciate it. No, yeah. So Mog Talk Twitch. You guys, I stream right at the moment daytime. I could change whenever, depending on how life goes, right? But right now, daytime, we do streams Tuesday through Friday, all except for next week because of the holidays and family coming in town. I have top streams. I'm going to try to clear top Sunday night. We're very close. We've gotten to flares, and we're right there at the end at P6. We just have to hit our limit breaks right and be consistent enough to be able to get to the phase and execute. So if you guys want to, that's been something I've been working on for like 10 months or so, because you guys raised over $50,000 for children's hospitals back in January. And I said I would do something. And it was a bet I made because I didn't think it would come true. Right. Because it was like, that's a ridiculous amount of money. No one's going to donate that much money. And I've never done Ultimate before. This is my first one. And I'm doing it with, there's currently 5 other people in the group who has not cleared top with me right now. So it's a 6 out of 8 party. So it's going to be really emotional. If you want to check that, try us on Sunday. I think that's at 7:30 Pacific time. And outside of, so everything that you heard today from me is my normal stream stuff, how I talk and who I am. More professional Mog Talk is usually podcast. Normally, sometimes I'm not professional there either. You could check that out. We're doing random shows throughout the week sometimes, usually on Saturdays. And then when there's a world race worthy event, we throw something together. Sometimes we do a PvP event. And that's a little bit more professional because we're trying to create something good. A nice platform for people out there for PvE or PvP, whichever way it might be. But yeah, that's me. Mog Talk.
Frosty, I have a question before Sly and me do our outros.
Sure.
You charge the $10,000 for, those different things. What do you normally charge people for this?
that was I'm glad I sent that to you and you still got it. I charged nothing. That was a freebie to show you guys what you could have if you do donate money to have these things happen. The quality that you'll see are things like these pictures.
He was mailing something from a Yumi to me. And I opened it and this was just in there too. And I was like, she didn't give this to me. Frosty gave this to me.
Wouldn't that be really weird?
It would have been if she had asked that to go into the thing. That would have been incredibly strange.
That was a random moment that happened while I was doing live streaming for FanFest. And I was like, chat, let's go in and get some pictures together. And so you can see on the shoulder right there, chat and the little camera existing.
Oh, yeah, you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is, I didn't even notice that the whole time because of all the effects. But yeah. You can see chat.
That was a hell of an adventure, man. I'm so glad I did it. It was exhausting, but chat was so much fun during that whole experience. So I'm glad. But I was like, what do I do with these? I don't know what to do with them. So I was like, fuck, I'll send Mike one. I'll send him something anyway. So here you go. He's my buddy, one of my good friends. I'd be happy if he had this. I actually know if he would be.
You're learning.
I'm learning. I got it. Repel it off. Just say it before it happens. It is good.
It's a real
Thank you for having me on the show.
Real Sly thing for you to do.
I could never be as Sly.
Sly though. Partake Sly. Stoop down
No,
to
thank
my
you.
level.
No, he's Sly. There you go. Layup.
All right, layup. There you go. So Sly, what are you working on?
Hi, I'm Sly. I'm slowly dying inside. How you doing?
It's not very Sly.
You can find me on twitch.tv/Sly, aka Gray Fox. You can find me on Twitter at Sly the Fox, youtube.com/The Velvet Room. Currently, P5 Tactica just came out. So far, it's really fun. Not too complex if you're new to tactical games. If you play tactical games, it's pretty fucking easy for you, honestly, even on harder difficulties. So getting through that right now. Next week, of course, is Thanksgiving, and I am again doing the in-game Thanksgiving at the FC house because I believe no one should be alone on Thanksgiving if they have, for whatever reason, cannot spend time with friends and family. We will be your friends and family. So I'll be putting up the trailer later today for that. So that'll be on Behemoth at the FC house. More info on Twitter. So look that up. And yeah, just like really that and a few other things coming in December, which will be announced formally next week. Won't be me who announces it though, but it's pretty big. But so yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Hopefully, again, if you you don't have any friends or family to spend Thanksgiving with, you can come spend it with me and friends in game next week. So I hope to see you there. And happy?
Hi, that's me. You can find me doing
That's
all
not
sorts
Sly.
of stuff. That's not Sly. That's not Sly at all. He's over there. Anyway, right now I am gearing up for the holidays, trying to make plans for December because that is birth month. So, born year 1227 on December 27th, turned 796 years old, So got to celebrate that. It's getting towards the big 800. Not many people make it to that. So it's nice. Yeah, it's good. Unfortunately, the way I've decided to spend the start of December is probably an exercise. Actually, this isn't going to be that bad for me. It's everyone else who I'm inviting to potentially suffer and or have a good time. So November 28th, I'm putting out a video pretty much right after State of the Realm ends. I'm doing an event that I was going to wait until March of next year to do. But instead, I'm going to do 2 different waves of it because I think there's going to be some people available to play during the holiday season. And there's going to be people bored waiting for Dawn Trail. Vanadil March event, where I've beaten everything now in that game. They've finished the most recent story, Voracious Resurgence for Final Fantasy XI. And now it's time to pay it forward. So all the 14 players who have always said, I have no one to play it with and I don't know where to go. It's essentially just me trying to get as many people through Final Fantasy XI's, as much of the Final Fantasy XI story as they want to get through. So I've got a video coming out with all the details on that. The server is Bahamut, the name of the link shell, some resources to help people with, and looking for volunteers as well. And that is going to be a portion of my December. It's not the only thing, but it's going to be a lot of work. And so, Sly, if you need help, come to Bahamut. Leave Valfor alone and come to Bahamut, because that's where we're doing it.
But I like Valfor.
We almost did it on Valfor, and then I looked at the auction house and I said, no. Valfor's auction house is dead as dicks. I can't do this to people. Can't do it. Sorry. People tried. People tried to get it to Valfor. I said no. Bahamut's the place to go. So yeah, that's going to be a fun little event. It doesn't. There's no application. It's already hard enough to buy the game and sign up for. Like, I don't need to add another step to that. I had to make a fucking raid guide to tell people how to install the game. Unironically, had to do that. So I would never. It's no. If you that's your trial by fire. If you've actually bought and registered for the game, then you qualify for the event. So that video will go out later today. That'll have all the details, and that'll start on November 28th, and then Wave 2 will be in March. Once everyone's done with 7 rebirths, so probably about halfway through March. That'll be the second wave if you missed the first one. Or you just play, because the link shell will be there the whole time anyway. So that's my big thing. And then other than that, I've just got Super Mario RPG right now, which is as good as it ever was, if not better. So if you have 10 to 15 hours to spare, I would recommend it, because that's honestly all you need to beat it. It's not a very long game, Super Mario RPG.
Seemed like it was a lot longer back in the day, but
that's because you were a dumb kid. Yeah. I had this discussion. Final Fantasy VII, I thought was 100 hours when I was young. It's not. It took me like 30.
Yeah.
Yeah. So should be fine. Good, big recommendation on Super Mario RPG. I'm glad to hear.
Highly recommended myself.
Yes. Yeah, and maybe your physical one's here by now.
I think it was. I saw my ring pop up while we were in stream.
Got something to look forward to tonight. All right.
Yeah.
Well, with that, we're going to go into a short post show. It's just like a couple minutes to wind down after whatever the hell just happened in the past however many hours. And yeah, we'll just sit around and chat for a few minutes. And it didn't update my outro, so I'm going to quickly fix that so it has the correct ones. And now it's fixed, so we're good. So anyway, thanks everyone for tuning in. No show next week, obviously. Thanks, American Thanksgiving. Sorry, we're not. Technically, it's Black Friday, but we don't care. We're not doing a show next week. So leave us alone. We're good. Go spend time with your family. Go travel or visit or do anything I'm not doing, which is literally none of those things. So everyone, enjoy your Thanksgiving. Enjoy your whatever next week. Get some good deals, and we'll see you at the next show sometime in December. So until then, thanks to our guests for coming on, and bye-bye. Get out of here. Go.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.